A hush fell over the crowd.
Madam Mayor, it is 6:02 and we are live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lake Worth Beach Regular City Commission of Thursday, January 29th, 2026. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Rush,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy is absent, Commissioner Mimi May,
Present.
Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present. Thank you. We're just going to have a moment of silence, and I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Think whatever thoughts you think will help us. All of us. Take a deep breath. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any additions, deletions, or reordering from anyone?
I have none, Madam Mayor.
Okay, none from anybody? Okay, thank you very much. So we're moving right along to the electric utility update by Mr. Liberty. Mr. Liberty, take it away.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, Ed Liberty, Electric Utility Director. Got a fun-filled program for all of you tonight. A lot of information, some good news, some not so good news with respect to weather. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. The first thing I wanted to say was, as you all know, we finished the negotiation with FMPA for the new wholesale power contract. That was competitively bid for the folks in the audience, and we chose the lowest bid, which we believe is the right choice for us. That's great news. The bad news, in a sense, is that while it was the lowest bid, there were only two bidders, and and more importantly, the prices were higher than we had paid in the previous contract. So we're going to be talking about PCA a little bit later tonight, and a portion of that PCA increase that we're requesting is associated not only to the higher cost contract, but higher natural gas prices, and we'll get into a little bit more detail on that. I had the opportunity to attend the American Public Power Association Joint Action Conference about 3 weeks ago. One of the major themes or big themes of the meeting was looking ahead to power generation requirements in the country. I don't think it's any secret for anybody that artificial intelligence is putting a tremendous amount of press out there, whether you're pro or not pro in data centers. And the reality that those things are happening around the country, and you say, well, how does something that may not be happening in Florida be affecting us? It affects us in this way. The availability of power generation equipment is extremely strained. Over the last 20 years, there's been a lot of offshoring of production and downsizing and reshaping of an industry. And a lot of that manufacturing went elsewhere in the world. What we're now looking at with projected loads in the future as the reserve capacities or the excess capacity that may have existed for power generation in the marketplace is dwindling. And these large new loads that are coming into the country, whether it's in Florida, maybe, other parts of the country for sure, it's going to put a strain on that equipment. So there are companies that are part of the Magnificent Seven or the big data center companies that are buying up equipment as hard and fast as they can, as well as international sales. See, the amount of turbines for power generation to support investor-owned utilities, communities, and cooperatives around the state, around the country, is dwindling. So it's at the point now where if we wanted to buy a turbine to make power, we use power generation turbines to do that. You're looking at probably a 4-year lead time before you could get the turbine, and then figure another 2 years to build it. That's a long time. Let's bring that back to something that we can all understand. We signed a 7-year contract to buy upwards of 55% of our power generation in today's numbers, which will be a smaller percentage in the future, or rather a larger percentage in the future as we have growth. So that means that realistically, we cannot wait until year 6 for those of us that may still be here in these roles and say, we need to run an RFP and see if we can buy some power for year 8 when this contract expires in year 7. A, we're not sure if there'll be bidders. There's only 2 right now. B, if we don't get bids, year 6 is too late to decide we're going to build something. So the sobering news for tonight is probably in the next 24 to 36 months, we're going to have to make a decision on which way we're going to go at the end of year 7. Don't want to scare you all tonight, but we're going to be having some very serious discussions around resource planning and what our future looks like. What we don't want to do is wherever we are 7 years from now, look at the newspaper and have the people that sit in all these chairs, including mine, say, who left this leaky bag of stuff on the desk for us to clean up? We need to figure this out. So collectively, we'll be looking forward. The good news is that we have skill sets, we have the talent, we have the judgment and commission and staff to make decisions today, which will be impactful and meaningful for people in the future. So to that end, I've started discussions with the Florida Municipal Power Agency with regards to 2 issues. One is taking a look at our generation fleet at our existing power plant and saying, will that fleet of aged units run another 7 years? Because we're counting on them. Now, we don't actually run them every day. They're there for capacity, that's the reason you know that the lights will turn on when you flip the switch, because there's a capacity to make energy. Energy is what you get when you actually run a plant. So we buy energy and we buy capacity at rates that we could not meet with our own resources. But these older assets that we have are still valuable. And we want to make sure, number one, that they will last the 7 years that we need them to, or even further. And number 2, are there ways to increase the output, meaning the rating, the nameplate rating of those units to be able to generate a little bit more? That has a benefit of giving us a little bit more sense of surety. We can't run the whole city on the plant. There's a whole territory. But if we can buy or produce a little bit more of our own in terms of the capacity, and we buy both capacity and energy, if we have more capacity of our own, we don't have to buy as much. So to put this in perspective, our GT2 unit, which is there for capacity purposes, that unit is worth about $2 million a year in the market. So if we didn't have that unit, we would spend about $2 million more per year just to replace that capacity. GT1 is probably worth around $2.5 million. Less desirable because it burns oil. GT2 is dual fuel, has more flexibility. But between those 2 units, you're probably looking at around $4 to $4.5 million a year of potential value that we want to be able to make sure is there long term. So we'll be looking at condition assessment and what things can be done to make sure it goes at least to 7 years, what things can be done that may help to go further than just 7 years, and can we expand its ability to make power? That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to run more, but capacity is something that we have to have. That's what you have to have so that you know you're going to have energy if you need to. Generally speaking, they will rarely ever run. However, this weekend is going to be one of those rarely ever moments. So we'll come back and talk about that in a minute.
I just have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When you say the value is 2 or 2.5 million, is that the value of what we would have to spend on energy if we didn't have them?
For capacity, yes, we would
Right.
we would write $2 million for GT2, for example. If it was not available to run, our bills to FMPA under the contract would have been the similar numbers to
Okay.
OUC on the previous contract, be about $2 million a year of checks we would
Okay,
write.
I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Now, what we do is we currently don't use GT1 as capacity directly. We use it as a backup in case GT2 doesn't start. So it's an N-1-1. We have a backup to the backup. If we bid it for capacity and then it didn't perform, we'd have a problem. Because if you don't bid it, when you bid the unit as capacity, that means you're not counting on space in the transmission system to get power here. And what we don't want to do one day is find out that the unit doesn't start and the transmission lines are booked. It's like going to the airport without a reservation and you can't get power here. So we balance that. We use this as a backup to the backup. And that saves the public well over $2 million a year. That's not in rates because we know we have it. So that's what we're balancing in this process, and we'll keep you posted as we go through it. You'll play a role in that. Obviously, this will be a policy decision at some point what to do, but we'll work on the economics and bring that to you. Next thing we have to FPA for is to help us do some peer reviews of our electric system operations function, not necessarily because we have a problem, but we've transitioned from a system that was like the old extension cord plugged in the wall on the tree and everything would hang off that one light bulb, right? as that the audience has seen that before. So there's some people here that are our age, I guess. So the new lights don't do that. But we've transitioned our system to be much more reliable, meaning that's much more meshed and interconnected and much more complex. And much of our system training, our staff, our experience is on the old system. We need to migrate to a new way of thinking. And we've asked FMPA to come in and do a peer review, not for the purpose of singling out individuals, but saying, as an organization, do we have the proper training and preparation in place to have that system perform the way it should to get the full value out of it? So obviously, we know we're spending $125 to $150 million total over the last 8 years, and some of that's for years coming forward. We're getting great results. Pleased to announce you'll get a presentation later tonight on reliability. We set for the second consecutive year a record for reliability. It's the best reliability that we've ever seen. So while we got awards statewide for what we did in 2024, we did even better in 2025. Of course, everybody else is doing better as well, but we're really doing a great job, and we're getting recognition for that. And the team, not me, the team deserves a lot of credit for that, right down to the linemen, people in the warehouse, engineers, system operations, everybody. So we'll come back and talk about that later. Key performance indicators, we do use them. It's not a foreign subject to us. The numbers that we look at, the most important ones, in other than reliability, which you'll see tonight, is what we call net to system and also customer count. Well, customer count's an easy one. How many customers do you have? So our customer growth is exceeding expectations. There's new customers coming online. That's an indication that more people want to live here, but it's also an indication that there are more units for people to live in. When we do our budget setting and base our rates, we assume that we will grow customers by 0.75% per year. As of the end of the first quarter, so through the end of December, we grew at 1.26%. Yeah, we deal in decimals in our business. They're important to us. So call it 1.25% growth, which is 0.5% better than we expected. Why is that important? That means there's more people here helping to cover the fixed expenses of operating the utility. That helps. The other record that we've set, or key performance indicator, is sales, or rather the electric that we brought into the system. So recognizing that we don't store it once it gets here, we send it to our customers. Once a month, we read their meters. 30 to 45 days later, we get the cash for the electric sales. But the amount of energy we're sending out grew by 4.7% over the prior year for the first quarter. We plan around 0.75. So that means we're seeing growth in electric sales. More growth in electric sales from the standpoint of meeting our budgets and creating and growing our fund balance is good for us. So the more customers we have helps spread less cost to individual customers. You have more customers paying the bills, and the more energy that you have, you're building basically your fund balance faster than you thought. So that's all good signs. Now, what's going to happen in January is a whole nother ball game. So we hear a little bit more about that now. 3 weeks ago, we didn't know what was going to happen this week. If we had known that, we would have maybe gone out and bought gas on our own for home, right? But gas prices have gone up dramatically. This cold snap that's come across the country, while it's warm here today, it's certainly warm in the room, so I'm not sure who's in charge of the thermostat. Should push it down to 72.
Peggy's in charge. You can turn it down a little.
The Midwest and the central East Coast, all the way up through New England. For example, if you look at back in my home state, temperatures are not going to be above freezing for at least another week, probably 10 days. That's putting a tremendous demand on natural gas, which drives much of power generation and home heating. So supply and demand, gas prices, not only for the commodity, but for the transportation of gas, what we call basis, are extremely high. It does affect peninsular Florida because everything east of the Mississippi is basically on the same pipeline infrastructure, goes back to the same well structure. The good news is that we want to, as our utility is powered by a combination of nuclear and solar to about 47% of our energy needs over the course of the year. A little over 50% is on natural gas. Most utilities in the state run between 75% to 85% dependent on natural gas. So we have less dependence on natural gas. Therefore, we will be impacted.
Excuse me. This, what he's talking about is critical to everybody in this room and in the city. So you really need to pay attention. Thank you.
So the impact on these high natural gas prices will be far less for Lake Worth Beach and our customers, which goes out to Village of Palm Springs and also portions of the unincorporated county. About 60,000 residents are affected by this information. So we're not going to see the total impact that everybody else is going to see, but we are going to be impacted. To give you an order of magnitude, natural gas prices for the weekend are $50+ per million BTU. What does that mean? We normally pay under $5. It's over 50 for the weekend. That means that the power plants that we'll be running will be burning gas based on a spot price of over $50. Natural gas prices are very, very high. We have ways to mitigate that. One of the things that utilities statewide are asking, and I'm informing you tonight, that we're going to make this request of our customers for Sunday and Monday mornings.
Please pay attention, close attention to this.
Sunday and Monday morning, roughly between the hours, let's say 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock in the morning, in that 3 to 4 hour window, we're asking that customers please keep the thermostats low, probably 68 if you can. I know we're Floridians. My blood is thinned out too. I'm going to turn my own thermostat down to be a little cooler. We need to conserve energy, especially Saturday, Sunday morning, and Monday morning. Why is that so important? We're expecting to set all-time peaks in the state for energy send-out, electricity, on those mornings.
To states, northern states.
Well, no,
North Florida
to us,
and
just
to
to
us.
support it. So if you all just look on your iPhone, pull up the weather tab and type in weather in Orlando, north of the lake, it's going to be very cold.
Okay.
It's going to be down to, I think, 34 in this area. And
Yeah,
it's going to be cold. Remember the way it used to be back in the 80s and the 90s, right? When we get freezes in the orange groves, it's going to be that cold. There's going to be records set for electricity send out. A lot of that depends on natural gas, which is very expensive. There is some concern that there could be shortages of gas. The major concern is it's going to be so expensive that we may actually run some units on oil around the state. And the concern is that if gas gets into short supply, that more and more oil-fired units around the state will have to run. We are already being called to run our own units through the weekend on oil, which we will do. Oil is not only a cheaper fuel when gas prices are that high, but it's also for reliability purposes because of the gas-fired units are going to be stressed to get gas. But units in the state, for example, that may be fired on coal, if there's a problem, they're going to be looking to bring more gas, and the gas market is constrained. So we will issue, likely tomorrow, using the Everbridge system, a voluntary appeal to customers to curtail their energy use on Sunday morning for a few hours and Monday morning. So just a heads up that policymakers, you should be aware that we'll get that notice out. When it comes out, it's not a prank. If we're not reliving the zombie alert type thing, it'll be real. It'll be voluntary. We're also asking our departments in the city that have emergency generation, for example, the water plant and other departments that have the ability to run generators on oil during those few hours, to do that to relieve the load on the electric system. So it's more about price and Florida statewide stability of the system. So I know Brian has been in touch with the electric utility director, the water and sewer utility to make that request, and we'll follow up on that. We'll do what we can on our side. There are reports of some towns in North Florida delaying the opening of schools on Monday and holding off on opening some businesses. But we haven't been asked to do something like that down here, and certainly we don't control the schools, so we'll leave that alone. Yeah, we used to call those snow days, exactly. So that's a highlight of what's going on. It is real. Yes. Yep. But we have a lot of things to be thankful for. We're doing well. The financial entities are pleased with what they see. Our reliability is good. I believe for 4 consecutive years, our rates have been at or below those of people who live not too far from here in other homes elsewhere. So we're doing it. Sustaining that over the long term is going to be difficult. We'll talk PCA tonight. The PCA number, we are going to ask for PCA increase. We don't have numbers for January because January is not over yet. And the big hit has been this week and coming over the weekend. So I think I should wrap up there and allow others to speak tonight.
So Sunday morning and Monday morning, 68 degrees, put a sweater on.
Yes.
It's sweater
Here
weather.
too. Find a friend and stay close.
Get a dog.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now we are going to hear from the I said, get a dog. A water utility update from our own Vaughn Baker, the Director of Water Utilities. Hello, Miss Baker.
Oh, Vaughn Baker, Water Utilities. I will also try to start with good news. For our water treatment plant personnel, we have Mike Suarez, who had been interim water plant manager, has been promoted to full-time water plant manager. He's been doing a really great job for us, so that's great. We also have, for the past 2 years, we have had 2 operator trainees working in the plant, and they both recently passed the exam to get their operator license. So they'll be also promoted to C operators, and that will give us a full staff of licensed operators at the water plant. That's really great. We also have, their names are Techme and Josh, and actually Techme's brother has worked for us longer. His name is Linnerson. He recently passed his exam to go from a B to an A, which is the highest level of water treatment plant operator. So our staff is doing really well. They deserve, props. An update on the lawsuit for the force main break that has been finally making significant progress. So we have served our 4 defendants, which is AT&T, their subcontractor Blue Streak, their subcontractor HAOB, as well as USIC, who was the underground locate company that we were contracted with at the time of the break, because we're fairly certain that they didn't do their job properly either. We are now in the discovery phase, so we're asking for documents and collecting documents that they've asked for. I'm sure you're more than familiar with that. So that's moving along. That's all we can really ask for at this point is progress. We are, as a department, just cranking on capital projects right now. So we have at the water treatment plant, new chemical pumps going in, new chlorine tanks, which have arrived. They're going to be installed, hopefully within a week or 2. And we're going to be repairing some concrete, original in the lime plant, very old concrete. For water distribution, we are very nearly complete with what we're calling the Village Flats project. The Village Flats developers have come in on those alleys in between Lake and Lucerne, C to D, D to E, E to F. And when they uncovered our water main, it was shallow and it's really old. So we saw an opportunity while they have that area dug up, let's go in and replace the water main. So we've been able to do that, which is great. We will also be using pipe bursting technology, which is really minimally disruptive to that alley behind 2J's. That's also a very old water main. It has issues pretty often. So we're going to be doing pipe bursting, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're driving essentially a pig through the old water main. It pops it and pulls right straight through with plastic pipe behind it. So we're going to be replacing that. You had approved that work order for us, I believe, at the last meeting. So that will be coming up hopefully in March. For local sewer, we have the lift station rehabs, which are still ongoing. We're putting that ARPA money to really, really good use. So that's still moving along. For storm, we have 2 projects, one on the golf course, one just north of the golf course that are about to get started. So we're going to be working very closely with our Leisure Services Department, the golf course manager, to make sure we disrupt as little as possible, but hopefully that will help with flooding on and upstream in the residential areas just to the west of the golf course. And both those projects are partially grant funded. We also have a rehabilitation project that's going to be going on in the storm sewers in the general area of Bryant Park. We have been working for a long time to figure this out because that parking lot gets really bad flooding in one area around a storm drain. And we're hoping that this will, kind of fix that once and for all. It's gotten pretty bad. We have our cost of service study coming for your approval at the February 24th meeting. Looking forward to doing that and hopefully having the results by the budget season so that we can get everything seamless. And lastly, we are working on getting the agreements executed for the state funding that we were awarded last fiscal year. So once those agreements are executed, we will finally be able to put our dual zone monitoring well project out for construction, which is important just to remain in compliance with the DEP. Start design on another flooding project that we had applied for, and get our Lake Worth Lagoon Initiative project moving, which is an outfall restoration and living shoreline on 9th Avenue South. And then Public Works Department will get their downtown trash cans. So they're concrete trash cans so that they can't be knocked over, litter everywhere.
Excellent. You talked about the well monitoring, the secondary well monitoring. That's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the money that we were appropriated last year from the state. I think it was 1 point something type of funding on the monitoring well.
$750,000 awarded to us, 750,000 match. So
Okay.
yes, but that's I think the cost estimate ended up at about $5.7 million. So the 750 is just a little
A million here,
drop in the
a
bucket,
million
but it
there.
helps.
You're talking about real money.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Savage.
Thank you. Do you have any update for us on the sewer smell situation and issues South Point Park, as well as some of the downtown issues as well?
So the two separate issues for the downtown, I believe it's the storm sewer that, well, I'm certain it's the storm sewer that smells. Unfortunately, because that is FDOT's road, it's also their storm sewer, we're not allowed to touch. Last year, I had put in a request just for the FDOT to come out and investigate what's going on, why it smells. They found an illicit connection to their storm sewer. So at that time, they had let me know that they would be investigating. I've tried to follow up with them a couple times since then and have not heard back. But I did just send another follow-up the other day because Jamie had let me know that it had come up again. So unfortunately, that's a drain connection from a restaurant that's not supposed to be
So-
there.
We inspect our restaurants and is there any way that code could get involved, since we know that there is an illicit connection, to, instead of waiting on FDOT, have the city work with the restaurant to get that corrected?
Once we have confirmation from the FDOT what exactly it is and where it's coming from, they only gave me minimal information and said that they would have to investigate further. But yes, once we have, definitive information on what's going on, we could work with code to see what we can do.
And what leverage do we have with FDOT? So if they're ignoring you and not getting back, is there a way that we can push back on them legally for this? Because it's affecting our restaurants, it's affecting our people.
I would defer to Jamie on that. You know FDOT better than I do.
Yeah, and I'm having to go up the chain, which typically has worked in the past. No, I'll leave it there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what's currently going on though.
And regarding the South Palm Park odor situation, I brought that to our most recent sub-regional partners meeting and let them know of our plan to reroute Lantana's force main. Everybody seems to be in agreement, but the decision that I received is they want to have a study done on it before taking action to design and reconstruct that pipe. So that's where we are in that process.
And was there any research done into temporary mitigation efforts for the individual homeowners, like things that we could do for them in the meantime?
We have been conducting the smoke tests, which, we have just said, if you're interested in doing that, reach out to us. I know that I want to say 3 residents have taken us up on that offer and found a couple of things that can be mitigated in the meantime, just, gaps in plumbing that can be repaired to make sure that gas isn't escaping above ground as best we can. We also crank up our odor control, which is essentially hydrogen peroxide. But so to answer your question, has research been done? I mean, yes, we have really thought through any ways that we can be mitigating this in the meantime. Unfortunately, because those pipes flow full, there's really not much in the way of rehabilitation or temporary fixes.
And then one last question on that. There's a number of empty lots that are currently, some are undergoing construction, some have been, homes have been demoed, and we've seen raw sewage come up out of some of their piping. I don't know if there's anything that can be done or looking at that to mitigate that, because it's exacerbating the problem, and I don't suspect there's a homeowner to.
Right. That's a problem that I think my team is very familiar with at this point, where what we see a lot of is oftentimes when these odors get complained about, our team goes out to investigate, and lawnmowers have taken the caps off of cleanouts and just left, essentially sewage pipes exposed. So we do make an effort to go out. I know that a lot of them that are particularly prone to getting hit by lawnmowers or hit by cars have been put into mini manholes, which just, sets them as slightly underground as possible to make sure that stops happening. But if that is happening, absolutely give us a call and we can fix that immediately.
Okay, so if residents do see stuff like that, they should report it to you.
Yeah.
And that, okay, great. Thank you.
Of course.
I just wanted to thank you. That's a lot going on and juggling a lot of balls in the air. I appreciate that. I do want to say, and we were in Tallahassee, that we had a lot of positive feedback about our 3 legislative asks.
That's great.
So we, and I know 2 of those, for those who are listening, 2 of those will help mitigate the problems in South Palm Park, correct?
Yes, that was one of the projects that we did ask the state legislature for funding on, is to reroute that force main that comes
Reroute
through
the
from
force main
Lantana.
and replace the pump in Bryant Park. And what was it, to extend the 10th Avenue?
Well, the 10th Avenue extension would be water. So that would be, growing our service area and providing better service.
Right, not
But
sewer,
yeah,
but-
the other 2 are sewer. So
same department, sort of. And well, one in, one out, I guess. But I just wanted to let you know that we met with every representative from around here, and they, the one carrying our bills is pretty well respected up there, and it's looking good.
that's really great news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was very encouraging when we met with them, because the kinds of things where we're not asking for millions and millions of dollars, number one, and we're asking for things like, please don't make our park an open sewer. So, think good thoughts, but it sounds we're very encouraged.
That's great.
Anything else? No, sorry.
Oh, and I guess last thing is, Ed, I responded to your email as this meeting was starting, but we said yes to put the water treatment plant on generators on Sunday and Monday. So hopefully that will be helpful.
Teamwork. Teamwork. If you have a generator, I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for all the stuff that you would, and please send our regards to the workers that have been promoted. That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Could
Okay.
you, I'm sorry,
Sure.
Vaughn, could you send them, send an
names.
email with the names so we can congratulate them?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's helpful. So now we're at public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda. The cards are coming. Okey doke. Okay, I'll call your name and then I will call the second name to get on deck. Laura. Oh. Laura, all right. Laura Levitas, followed by Andy McGowan. Name and address, please.
Laura Levitas, 1030 North Lakeside Drive, Lake Worth Beach, Florida, 33460. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I just did the Martin Luther King walk and it was great. And I couldn't help but notice as I was walking through town, how many vacant storefronts there are. Now, I'm not for telling private property owners what they could do, but this really it was just sad and depressing. That makes me sad because I love living here, which brings me to one fact. I just received a bunch of violations. One was deserved. It was for an overgrown bush that had merit. The other ones didn't. One was to pressure wash my curb. Now, if I have to do these things to keep my neighborhood looking a certain way, why is it wrong for me to want the town to keep up that? I don't know if we've spoken to these families that own it. I don't know if there's anything we can do. I don't know if we can, nothing. Okay. Will they let us use our property for?
We don't
Okay.
respond to, yeah, so. I mean, you
Am I done?
you have more time.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay, sorry. I heard a click. 3 minutes. Okay. So there's nothing, but this is really hard because we could be doing a lot with that, whether it's art installations or we have like that huge space that no one can fill. We could do a food court. There's like pop-ups. There's so many things we can be doing for our city. And I personally feel that it's a nuisance. And I know we can't do things for private property owners, but I feel they're costing us a lot of money. And not only that, I have two friends that want to do businesses here. One is from New York and she had a vintage clothing store in Brooklyn. She cannot afford the rents here and she's coming from New York. So I wish we could work together to figure out some solutions, whether it's us putting something in front of them, making it happy like my neighborhood. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy McGowan.
Yes, that's Andy McGowan, 506 North M Street. Hello, Mayor Resch, Vice Mayor Malega, and commissioners. I'm here representing Music and Arts for Change, a volunteer grassroots effort that has been making a real difference inside of our schools. Let me provide some background about us. This began with Jut Huffman, a local musician who grew up with very little, now wants to help ensure that all children have access to music and the arts. He shared that vision with Liz Frankel, who brought together a group of neighbors. We arranged with a fiduciary 501c3 entity, the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County. Last year, Music and Arts for Change raised $30,000, which was divided evenly across
Yeah, congratulations.
6 Lake Worth Beach public schools. What sets our fundraiser apart is flexibility. The funds go to the schools with no strings attached. The schools can use them where they are needed the most, on instruments, art supplies, or basic student needs. This flexibility is something that many funding sources don't allow, and our schools have told us how valuable that flexibility is. We've seen the impact, and here are just a few examples. At South Grade, students were using 25-year-old art aprons, but now have new art aprons. Also, the art teacher was able to purchase clay for 600 students. At Barton Elementary, the school had gone 2 years without a music teacher, but finally hired one. This year, because of these funds, he was able to fully set up a classroom with instruments, and their piano was repaired. At Lake Worth Middle School, we helped fund the drum line and the student needs closet. 100% of every dollar donated goes directly to the schools. We personally cover all of the administrative costs. We want to invite all of you to join us at our third annual fundraiser, Thursday, February 12th, 6 p.m. at the Bamboo Room. Our local students will be performing and their artwork will be on display. Afterwards, Jut Huffman and the Westminster Duo will perform to provide a night of music, fun, and dancing. There will be raffles and a silent auction offering many items provided by our local businesses and talented citizens. February 12th, 6 p.m. at the Bamboo Room. But the main reason why we stand here before you tonight is to respectfully ask the commission to contribute $15,000 or more in discretionary funds to support Music and Arts for Change and the students that we serve. Please seriously consider our request. Get back to us, let us know. In closing, a small investment becomes something much bigger inside of our schools, one of hope, opportunity, and a community telling its teachers and students, we see you, we love you, and we believe in you. Thank you for your time tonight. Hope to see you all at the Bamboo Room.
Thank you very much.
Andy, there's no time on this flyer. What time is the event?
6 p.m.
Thank you.
I can't get this QR code to work. Oh, okay. You know, yeah, I support, I don't know if you know this, but I support the Lakewood High School band every year. I love those kids. And I sadly am going to be at a boring conference on the 12th of February, which would much rather be at the Bamboo Room, but I will contribute right now from my discretionary funds, $500.
I'll match that, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry.
I'll match that.
Okay.
Ditto.
Ditto.
I wish I could, but I just gave my last money to help a family get into their home, so I'm out of this.
Oh, fine. We'll have to talk to Mr. McBoy. Okay, I'm just making sure that. Okay, and it is a wonderful thing. I mean, nothing about. I love the band and the music for kids and drum lines are my favorite because sports are wonderful, but it's competitive. Art is cooperative. These kids get together, and I mean, I know our kids from Lake Worth High School, they come from very little. And all of a sudden, they're playing instruments, they're making music, they're working together. It's like, it just brings tears to my eyes. So if anybody out there, there is a QR code that we can hopefully get to work. Not working. Come back up and just give your name and a way to get in touch with you. Come on back up.
You want to snap the QR code, fly it off the back of my phone.
Oh my God. Oh, I love.
Oh, I'm not donating if we don't get shirts.
It's awesome. We did one.
Can you please speak into the mic, sir?
Then I'm counting on you.
Out from the city hall, yeah.
Sure. All right, it works.
I'll
Great.
turn around so anyone here wants to.
Please help our kids. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you guys for what you do. Okay, up next is Peggy Fisher. Followed by Teresa DeVoe.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I'd like to ask what the status is of the trees on Lake and Lucerne and the new garbage cans. We're 3 weeks away from the Street Painting Festival. We want the city to look nice. We need to work on that. Mr. Liberty talked about the increase in sales. Well, I would say one of the things in my area of the city that has increased sales is all the RVs that are now being rented out in backyards with no rental licenses and are connecting without the city doing it to both electricity and the sewer lines. So we have things that are going on that we may not know about. And although the code does, in my opinion, give us an option to at least ask the homeowner for the registration or the current license, which is in the code of the vehicle, of the RV. That doesn't require going in the back door. That requires making contact with the homeowner. So I don't know why that can't be something that is done. I told a South Palm Park resident that I would relay his continued concern about the odor. He lives on 12th Avenue, on the corner of 12th Avenue. He's had a smoke test done, but he says there's still odors down there, and he appreciates what's being done, but it still exists. So thank you.
Thank you, Teresa DeVoe. There you are. Followed by Linda Bauer.
Teresa DeVoe, 1106 South Palm Way, and we're really grateful to our commissioner because we really feel like we need to keep the sewer problem up front. We were told last year at the budget meeting that we were not a priority. And I don't know how. I know the city has a lot of needs. Right? We understand that, and we understand budgets. But when you've got sewer gas coming into your home every night at dinner time, raw sewage in your showers or your bathrooms, or not being able to use your toilets at all. We used to walk down Palmway, Lakeside used to be, I think, one of the most walked streets in this whole city. You walk down in the evenings, you smell gardenias, jasmine, honeysuckle. It's just beautiful. Walk all the way up to the bridge. It is so disgusting any night of the week to walk down Lakeside, and whether it's winter or summer. And now we're coming up on another summer, and nobody has put any effort into looking what we can do immediately. It sounds like rerouting something is going to take a very long time. Is that me? Oh, okay. We do realize you've put in for a grant. And I assume it's a matching, but I don't have an extensive education in sewer lines, but I live with somebody that does. So I know more than I ever wanted to. And I know $1 million is not going to be a scratch. And what we would really like done is some civil engineers, and I know the city used to use a civil engineer all the time, to actually evaluate the situation with a gravity flow going down the back of our that's where our sewer line is. It's a gravity flow. We need a force main.
That's exactly.
We need a force main. We need it fixed. We don't need Band-Aids anymore. The peroxide in the water covers up the smell, but we're not convinced the gas is still coming in our house. We just can't smell it. And we're still feeling the effects from it. There are a lot of people in the neighborhood that have really chronic headaches and sinus issues. So we would like an actual civil engineer. That's something that could start now, so that when we did get our grants, the work could start sooner, because I'm guessing we're looking at all summer with no relief, and it gets worse every summer. And I'm not even going to guess into the summer of 27 if we're waiting for grants and budgets and then the planning. So maybe we could at least get started planning now with a civil engineer, a
Thank you. That's
professional
time.
looking at it.
Thank you very much. When you're well aware. Linda Brower, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I'm trying to block. I had to leave I left my glasses home.
I'm Linda Brower at 1100 South Lakeside Drive in South Palm Park. I'm here again to
Speak up
remind
a little bit to the microphone.
I'm here again to remind the commission that my neighborhood and my household personally, as well as others, continue to experience ongoing sewer infrastructure problems that have not been resolved. Throughout our neighborhood, there are frequent and noticeable odors while simply walking outside. In addition, my personal sewer system, my home, was unable to function properly on at least 3 occasions in November, 3 in December, and again on New Year's Day. On each of these occasions, the system eventually cleared itself, but that appears to be due to a lack of rainfall rather than any corrective action. So I can't flush my toilets. Sometime during the day when there's a lot of people around, I can't flush them. And I remember back when it was raining, the city came out to my home after the whole weekend, 3 days, and said, "We're sorry. We can't help you. You're just going to have to wait. We're going to have to put an auxiliary pump in." As we have discussed, and the commission is well aware, these reoccurring failures indicate a larger infrastructure issue beyond individual homeowners. It's unreasonable and acceptable for residents to live with repeated backups, sewer gas smells, and uncertainty about whether our systems will function. I don't know. I don't want to have people over to my home for the holidays. Both I and my neighbors are asking for transparency and communication. We would like to know what is being done to address the sewer infrastructure issues. We've heard some, but that's more of a Band-Aid. What is the timeline for the corrective action, and how residents will be kept informed going forward? This is a public health and quality of life issue, and it must be taken care of as soon as possible. We are paying for sewer service. I got billed for my water and whatever a month or two ago for $1,278, and the month before that, $900, and I can't flush my toilets. Thank you. I don't know what else to say. I mean, nobody here I feel like I live in the hood or something, that I don't have sewer. Anyway, thank you. And thank you to my commissioner for helping us bring this to your attention.
Oh, we are well aware. Thank you. Todd Townsend, Todd, you put 2 cards, you get 1 shot. So whatever you want to talk about, you got 3 minutes.
Oh, I wanted to,
You had 2 cards, you get 1 card.
I had wanted to speak about the
3 minutes.
826.
Speak about whatever you want for 3 minutes.
But then also, can I also still chime in on
We'll talk about.
the unfinished business too, right?
Well,
Yes.
that's over there, right?
Everybody's so hard on me. Okay, it is the sweatshirt, Patriot. So, okay, so just really quick, I wanted to be like actually the first person. Now that if we
Can
just.
address, please, for the
Oh, I'm
record.
sorry. 502 South J Street, New England Patriot Circle. No, okay. So I just wanted to now be the first person to say that we've now had the city come in and say that we've got a sewage problem. It's a storm sewage problem. Okay. That's what she just said. It's the storm sewage. All right. And now we've got residents coming up and saying, this is sewage. So now we're looking at really a double-edged sword that needs to be dealt with. And it has to be dealt with really soon because we got gigantic projects that were put before the horse before the cart before the horse, big projects coming online. We've got the hotel getting ready to come online. We can't be having these terrible faux pas with a problem with the torpedo situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Emily Gregory.
Hi, Mayor Resch and the commission. I'm Emily Gregory. I live at 244 New Haven Boulevard in Jupiter. I am here today to promote and make sure all the residents know that there is a special election for state representative. Lake Worth, like other municipalities in the area, will have 2 elections in March. The SOE the other day told me they were thinking about for mail-in ballots doing a yellow or a purple tab at both on the top so that you can identify which is which. But it is extremely important that everyone votes. I have here some cards that have a vote by mail re-enrollment. You may not know, but you now have to re-enroll every other year and vote by mail, which will be really helpful for these March special elections to know and remember that there is a special election. I am running for a state house representative. I am a local mom and small business owner. I'm a military spouse, and my top priorities are public education, skyrocketing property insurance, and expanding healthcare coverage. So I will stick around and I would love to chat with anyone, and I will leave these cards if anyone wants to enroll in their vote by mail. But March 10th is the referendum, and March 24th is the state house representative election. So 2 elections in March. And if you re-enroll and vote by mail, it'll last through the midterms. So it's a really great idea, and we're really encouraging everyone to do it.
Thank you very much.
Mr. 87. Yes.
Christian Kuller. There you are.
Right, I'm back.
He's back.
All right, Christian Kaler, 17 South Lakeside, apartment 2. I come here tonight just to promote the car wash we're having on Saturday. We have the police officers going to be, the PBSO are going to be there, cooking hot dogs. And I'll actually read you their little, I don't have any social media, so I'll read you what they put on social media today, which was a very entertaining. Picture this: deputies washing your car while grilling your food, all while raising funds for a great cause. This Saturday, we're helping support Highland Elementary Safety Patrols with a car wash fundraiser that benefits the students' yearly field trip to Washington, D.C. So it's between 10 and 2 p.m. It is at 500 Highland Avenue, which is really like A Street between 7th and 8th Avenue North. So come on out, get your car washed, get your van washed, and watch the police cook some hot dogs. All right.
Thank you very much. And thanks
All
for
right.
all, I know that you work really. 10 to
What,
2.
10 to 2, 10 to 2 on Saturday.
I know that you do a lot of work for the kids and.
Thank you.
If anybody else wants to help our kids, most of the kids, as you probably know, in our Lake Worth schools desperately need some financial help.
Yeah.
They come from families that really just don't have, in many cases, a lot of extra money. So if you wanted to help these kids at Highland Elementary, they always come to us for
Yeah, we do.
the road, this, the
Safety
patrol,
patrol.
safety
Yep.
patrol kid to go to Washington. I personally think that every child that grows up in this country should get a free trip to Washington to see that it's really a place. It's not just a name. But please, if you can reach out and help him, that would be great. And 10 to 2 on Saturday at
Highland Elementary.
Is at the school?
Yeah, at the school, in
Okay,
the front,
is that
in the
Highland?
front there. And also come to Music for Change.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
I'm so.
Double plug.
That's a double. That sounds like such a good event. Thank you very much. And Jill Carlin. Last but not least. Great boots.
Thank you. Jill Carlin, 2381 Sunset Avenue, number 205. Hello, I'm here tonight to speak from the heart, as I always do, about our beachfront, our golf course, and the soul of our city. I know it's not up right now, but I urge you in the strongest, most respectful terms, do not allow large corporate hotels such as the Hyatt to be imposed on our beachfront and golf course. Lake Worth Beach is not just another piece of oceanfront real estate. It is a rare, human scale city defined by its cottages, its artists, its small businesses, and its sense of place. Once we give that up, we will never get it back. A massive hotel complex does not simply, quote, add value. It fundamentally alters who we are and what this city is about. We are often told that developments like this are necessary for revenue. I respectfully disagree. There are many ways for this city to make money without sacrificing its most precious assets. That's our cottages, our beach, et cetera, et cetera. Cities across Florida have learned, sometimes too late, that short-term revenue from oversized development comes along with long-term costs. Infrastructure strain, we're facing that, loss of character, traffic, environmental impact, and the quiet erosion of community. Our beachfront and golf course are not blank slates. They are shared public resources. They belong to residents, families, seniors, children, and the future generations, not to the highest bidder with the largest footprint. I've personally proposed a plan that would generate meaningful revenue for the city while preserving what makes Lake Worth Beach special. It is possible to be fiscally responsible and protective of our character. Economic creativity does not require cultural erasure. People come here because Lake Worth Beach is charming, eclectic, and authentic. They come for the cottages, the walkability, the ocean breeze, not for something they can find in any other city along the coast. If we turn our beachfront into a corporate corridor, we lose the very thing that makes us valuable. Please choose stewardship over pressure, vision over convenience, and community over scale. Protect our beachfront, protect our golf course, and protect our adorable cottage-filled city. Thank you for your time and service.
Thank you. Okay, now we are at the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next up, public hearings, ordinance number 25-16. Please read by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance number 2025-16, ordinance of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map to provide a zoning district of single-family residential SFR on the property at 826 Sunset Drive, generally located at the south end of Sunset Drive, and is more particularly described in Exhibit A and providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you. Do I have a
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh,
Hold on, Madam Mayor, I have
public
3 comments.
Oh, we have a few public comments.
Speed bump.
Okay, and I hear the clerk has some. So Jill, you're with, okay. Yeah, I mean, we're, okay, Todd Townsend, Bill Yates, and Ruth Lynch.
Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street again. I know it's going to happen. I just wanted to come and just beg, the final begging, please back up Look at that piece of property, 826. It's immaculate. I think you should all go in there. The guy's a perfect gentleman. He would love to sell it to us to make a beautiful park out of it. It's got a wall around it. The people that live there could have the keys and be open and closed when they want. You know, if it's a thing like, oh, we don't want to have another park for homeless to be in there and have to deal with junkies and all that. That's an out of the way spot. You don't have to put a brown sign up on 6th Avenue. It could be like this really beautiful, hidden, cute little park. And I just beg for everybody to back up and reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Yates, buy it and you get to own it. That's it. That's it. I'm, all right. I mean, I'm saying that to the world. Bill Yates.
Bill Yates, 3120 Cynthia Lane. Mayor Resch, commissioners, I just want to thank you for the thoughtful review that you gave to the zoning matter and for the fact that you allowed the community to participate and share our viewpoints with you. I appreciate the care and the attention that you've given to Sunset Drive. And I think your SFR zoning decision, it brings clarity to what has been decades of confusion and uncertainty for all interested parties. So thank you.
And you're more than welcome. Ruth Lynch.
Good evening, Ruth Lynch, 2802 Lake Osborne Drive. We are finally here. 826 Sunset Drive has always been single family. Since the Smith family staked its claim on this beautiful location at the highest point in Lake Worth Beach and built their single family homestead a century ago. Since Palm Beach County deemed to zone the surrounding neighborhood MR5. And now because this Lake Worth Beach Commission has listened to and weighed the informed opinion of its staff and the many comments and testimonials of the Rollo and Murray Hill citizens, this property will now rightly remain, as it has always been, a single family property, SFR. Thank you for your vote. This is step one. Step two is strict site plan oversight by the Community of Sustainability staff and the Planning and Zoning Board. Unlike the majority of Lake Worth Beach, which is quite flat, Sunset Parcel is dramatically different. The boundaries are suspended and steep on three sides, and of course, the Murray Hills wall. The ridge is a remnant sand dune held together by the roots of the tree canopy, and there is only one access point. I do not know, and I wonder if the cities of Lake Worth Beach's codes and LDRs have regulations and provisions to protect properties that have this unusual topography and layout. If not, can the city staff begin the process to revise and add these guidelines? I hope we will all take that challenge. Thank you.
More than welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a long road. Madam Clerk, you have public comment?
I do, Madam Mayor. I have two.
Okay.
The first comment I have is from George Adams at 3320 Lake Osborne Drive, apartment 201. Dear Commissioners and Community Sustainability, we would like to thank the Lake Worth Beach leadership team for reaching the compromise solution of SFR. Mr. Waters and the community and the city commissioners should be recognized for successfully navigating through the state and municipal laws, regulations, and procedures to move the Sunset property zoning from where it started to SFR. Thank you very much. Going forward, we will continue to monitor and voice our concerns over the issue we see with developing this property, including health and safety, environmental, traffic flow, retaining wall, and general quality of life for the community. As I understand it, the city commissioners will not formally participate in the planning/development approvals, but I plead with you and the community sustainability team to do as much as you can to make this development consistent with the quarter-acre house lot development that surrounds the Sunset property. Thank you in advance for your consideration and action on this request. The next comment that I have is from Craig Frost at 2212 Quail Trail. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and City staff. Thank you for the time and care you've given to the Sunset property. I just want to thank the commissioners for listening to their concerned constituents. I believe the SFR zoning is the best zoning available for the 4-acre Sunset property. Thank you for your time and service. That is the last comment I have on any item tonight, Madam Mayor.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Aye, aye, aye.
Hang on a second to get out.
And thank you all.
Thank
To have positive, helpful, cooperative conversations with citizens about things that affect them and work together in a convivial way is a pleasure. Thank you very much. You can all leave now. We won't take it personally.
Can we do a,
They're back.
can we do a quick comfort break then?
Sure. We're gonna take a quick comfort break.
Start sorting through.
Madam Mayor, are we ready to reconvene?
Yep.
Madam Mayor, it is 7:18 and we are live again.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we are at resolution 4-2025, amending the schedule of fees and charges for city services for fiscal year 2026. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any, no, there are no, I have no public comment cards, I don't think.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Aye.
thank you. It's unanimous. B, purchased power cost review and adjustment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Wait.
Wait. Are there any cards?
No, but I want to,
Oh, okay.
I want to hear about it. I want to
Yeah.
talk.
Oh, okay. there-
Yeah, this isn't a quickie. This
Okay,
isn't,
all right, fine,
this is
fine,
an
fine.
Ed explains.
Right, we want to make this quick though.
Yep.
So, Mayor, for the record, at Liberty Electric
I
Utility
mean, look,
Director
there's pretty.
on this item. Yeah, we have a lot of pretty slides.
Right,
And they've
I know.
evolved based on the feedback from the commission over many years of doing this. So if we look at page 1 of this presentation, you'll see a table, and it's in the documents for the meeting for the members at home. Page number 1, bottom right-hand corner, you see a number of negative $601,891. Bottom right of page 1 of the backup. That page is what we refer to as the checking account. This is the account that we use monthly to pay what we call the PCA, which is purchase power costs that are not in our base rates. So that is now, as the end of December, was negative $601,891,000. So we also have what we refer to as a savings account. The savings account is back on page 4. So if you take that checking account and then look at the savings account on page 4, you'll see that the savings account's at roughly $500,000. That nets you to about a negative $100,000 in total PCA funds. That's great. The concern is that we are not gaining on it. We want to build that fund to be able to absorb additional expenses as they come over time. If we look on page 2, there's some tables at the top. And if you look at the table that says, the overall table is PCA table and graphs, there's a column that says difference. And what that looks at is the amount of money that we collect each month from our customers on the PCA line item on their bill. And then the expenditures, which is what we spent in fuel or electric bills for wholesale power that month. There's always going to be a lag in those because we pay the bill in the month, pretty much in the month that the energy arrives, very, very close. And then the customer's meters get read sometime after that. And then 30 to 45 days later, the cash comes in. So there's always going to be a lag between the revenues and the expenses. But as you look down that table, you can see a number of months when the numbers were negative, meaning they were in the red in parentheses, and some months where they had turned positive. So we have some months where we turned positive, which is good. We want to be able to build that PCA fund balance up to absorb shocks in prices. Now, when we did this, in order to meet the deadline for tonight's meeting, we didn't know about this cold spell and the spikes in natural gas prices. If we had known, some of us might have bought our own natural gas futures and played that market, but we didn't know that, of course. So what we're looking at, we don't have January numbers yet. Those are going to be much higher than they have in the past. The good news, as I mentioned, our exposure to natural gas prices is much lower than it is for other communities, but we do have an exposure. In looking at these numbers and wanting to rebuild our PCA balance, not yet knowing what the numbers for January are, so this number could be higher. We're suggesting a little over $6 per month increase in the PCA line item for the typical 1,000 kilowatt per hour residential customer. So we tend to speak in terms of the most common denominator of our population, and that's that 1,000 kilowatt hour residential customer. So our analysis based on what we were seeing for natural gas prices, and this, by the way, is on page 9, if you want to look at the math. This is all a part of the record. Towards the bottom of page 9, specifically what's shown as line number 20, we're suggesting an increase of $6.44 per month for the typical 1,000 kilowatt hour customer. Of course, this increase, it could be higher or lower. If you're a larger customer, it'll be higher. If you're a smaller customer, it'll be less, but in terms of the median, if you will, it would be an impact of 644 per thousand. Correct. So this is obviously not good news. As you heard me say earlier, natural gas prices for July are going to come in substantially higher than we thought. That will be offset to some extent by our new solar plants coming online. So both Rice Creek and the Whistling Duck are online and delivering energy to us. Rice Creek, of course, started in January 1 of 25. Whistling Duck started January 1 of 2026. Concurrent with that, we retired our ownership interest in the Stanton project, which was a coal-fired power plant. So that did two things for us. Certainly has an impact on our carbon footprint for the better, if that's what you're motivated by. But it also removed a rather high-cost unit from our portfolio. That unit was a very expensive unit to operate, so that money came out of our cost structure. We had planned on that, and that happened. And then solar came on and replaced it. We entered into the new contract with FMPA, which, as I indicated earlier, was the lowest bid that we got, but it was higher than what we had previously been paying. So we're absorbing all of these things into our portfolio. One of the things that we're doing for you to attempt to mitigate these costs, take a look at slide number 7 in that packet. And that slide is a series of curves, multicolored curves, candy cane colored. And what does this slide say? So that's looking at 4 years of electric history in terms of energy that we brought into the system for our customers. And you can see that it's the lowest in January and February. And of course, as we would expect, it's the highest in July and August. So that's our energy profile over the course of the year, how our customers use energy. Important number to look at if you're into numbers like this. The January and February numbers run between 30 to 35,000 megawatt hours per month. That equates to about a 40 megawatt base load. So that's important. What is base load? Base load is the basic amount of energy that we use month in and month out. There's some months that are going to be higher, but there's very few or no months that are going to be lower. That's the base amount. What we're suggesting to do, and we'll be addressing this in our cost of service study, is that the cost for the first 40 megawatts of capacity or energy that we bring into the system would go into our base rates. And then the balance would be over in the PCA. So what that will do is it'll lower the PCA and will absorb a lot of these costs in base rates. So the first thing we're going to do is that our base rates had previously accommodated 33 megawatts. Looking at this history over the last few years, it looks like a more appropriate number is going to be about 40. What we're going to do right now is we're going to take the 11 megawatts that came out of the base when we retired our interest in Stanton and replaced it with 11 megawatts of capacity under the new contract. So that 11 megawatt piece will slide over into the hole that was created by Stanton going away. And the dollars that pay for it will slide into that hole that was created over there. Now we have, when we look ahead, we look at leading indicators, look at financial performance every month. As some of you know that have met with me and gone through what we call Ed's book with me. We have some revenues that were unbudgeted. And we say, well, how could you have revenues you didn't budget for? Well, there were some things that were not fully decided at the time that the budget was set. For example, the increase in revenue from Palm Beach State College when we made a tough decision on a longstanding contract. That revenue, together with another one, which is very important, we don't talk about it a lot, reselling or leveraging our pipeline capacity on the natural gas pipeline system, which we make available to others. So we have an overperformance on that periodically. 2025 was one of those years, and it's going to be booked as a 2026 revenue because of the timing when it came in was not fully known at the time we set the budget. And it was the overperformance. What we budget for is the base amount that we think it'll do. The overperformance we don't fully know until that fiscal year closes, and then a check comes in from the entity, and we then add that to revenue, of course. So we'll use that overperformance of the revenue to offset 11 megawatts of capacity that will move over there, if that makes sense. So the PCA will not be impacted as heavily by doing this. That will just get us to roughly 33 megawatts of capacity in our base. These curves, which are an example of what we look at, you can see So if you take the 35,000 or the 30,000 in those months, divide it by 720 hours per year, or per month rather, you don't need to do that. It'll lead you to an answer in the low 40s. So we think that number for base ought to be somewhere in the low 40s, which means that some of those costs should be moved over to our base rates and not necessarily in our PCA. So that's something that's coming down the road. For now, though, to get us to the end of the year without destroying the headway that we've made on rebuilding that fund balance, unfortunately, we are suggesting that we need to raise this rate by another $6.44. What we don't yet know is what January's bills are going to be. We've done some back of the envelope. There was one moment where we're thrilled that we're going to be okay. The next moment, oh my gosh, we could add this into it. We went back and forth, and the meters haven't stopped turning for January yet. So we will know that answer probably sometime in February. That will then roll into our cost of service study. I don't want to upset the apple cart on the base rates until we're through the budgeting process and get closer to October 1, and you all assist us in setting new rates for the new year. So for now, we suggest that we go with 644 increase. We'll take a look at what the January bills came in, because the highest numbers are coming in the last 2 weeks of January, and decide if the 644 is sufficient to get us to where we need to be at the end of the year, or if we need to ask for another adjustment. But we just don't have that answer yet.
Was Mr. Segrich first, I think? Ms. Malago was first. Thank you. Ms. Malago.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Thank you to the team for all your work that goes into this. This isn't just pull up a computer and, give us a spreadsheet. I have two questions. Actually, a question and a suggestion. Given what's been happening in the country with removals of people, are our collections a lot higher than they were 6 months ago, 8 months ago? I know that we've gotten a handle on the collections from 4 years ago. I just don't know where we are now. We haven't gotten a report on that, because I see the negative and I'm thinking, are people just not paying their bills? How many people have vacated, left, moved, and just left bills behind?
That's a very good question. And you hear me use the term leading indicator. So I don't have the collections number right now, so I don't want to throw a number out there as what that my vague recollection typically run, but $250,000 to $300,000 of bad debt per year that goes out for collections. But I would couch that in a sense and say that includes both the water and the electric bill. It's not just the electric component.
Correct.
The leading indicator that I look at, and I literally look at every single day, I get this report sometime between 2 o'clock and 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, is how many service cuts we had that day for non-payment. That typically averages between 28 to 33 cuts per day. I don't have the dollar numbers exactly on that. Out of roughly 28,500 meters, roughly 28 to 33, 35 get cut per day. The vast majority, well over 90+%, get resolved within a few days. Okay. Customers come up with the money and pay the bill. And we do give people warning. They get the warning notices. There's times when we have a lot of cuts, for example, where the team will actually proactively make some phone calls. I just learned a little bit more about this. They take it upon themselves to call the customers, because we're trying to reduce the number of cuts that we do, is to try to say, hey, heads up, okay, you're on the list for today or for tomorrow. Can you pay? Of course, we don't want them rushing with a bag of cash to pay anybody, right? Just go pay the proper way so they don't think it's a scam. But so don't go get gift cards. Don't run to our office with a bag of cash. Go to the payment process center with your bill and take care of it there properly, not to anybody else.
With that being said, is there any way that we can continue? And I preach on this. Our budget billing program is phenomenal. I've personally been on it for 4 years. It is fantastic. Is there any way that we can promote that? I don't know how many people still get paper bills, or if we can do email blast, but the budget billing is really the best way to go.
That is a good way to go. We're in the process of doing an Avaline upgrade, which I hope one of the things that we'll be able to do, and it's not going to be like next week, it's still a year or two away, would be able to have a better budget billing option than we currently have. It's my understanding that the current option requires you to basically true up at the end of the year with a credit or a debit that you have to true up right away. We'd like to have one that smooths it out further for our customers. That's something to look at. The other thing that you all could consider, and I think we can make a suggestion. You're not going to vote on this suggestion tonight, but you may want to give some thought as a policy matter for a future meeting. if you all choose to bring it up for us to look at. When we created the storm fund, if you remember, we transferred $500,000 from the PCA, which was well funded at that time, as seed money for the storm fund. The storm fund has been growing nicely, $5 per month per account until we reach the $8 million number. And we track that monthly. It's also gaining interest. One thing that you could consider, this would be entirely up to you. You need a new resolution. So you're not going to vote on it tonight, would be to consider moving that back into the PCA. If you're comfortable with where the storm fund is. So we have to bring back to your report and say, this is where it's at. You should talk about it one-on-ones, think about it, and then decide, a month or 2, 3 months from now, if you think that's something that's a risk, true, but that's one way that you could do this. I think the storm fund is growing well, and as soon as we get that $8 million number, of course, the storm fund will get turned off. But that's one option that you have if you want to do something like that, but we don't need to debate that tonight. Just planting a seed.
And you'll let us know how much is in the storm fund.
Yes. And Yannick, actually, we track those numbers, and Yannick has them, and they're actually in Avalon. We just extract the numbers that are there every month and take a look at it.
Thank you. On the rate stabilization fund balance, we've utilized it for various things, use stabilize rates and transfer to storm fund. We're now at the 500,000 mark. What kind of roadmap do you see for us getting that back up? Is it going to require large cash infusion from elsewhere, or do you think these changes that we're making to the PCA are going to help us rebuild this? How do we get this back into the healthier levels?
Well, the 644 is intended to stabilize over the next 9 months, because natural gas prices, which we use the published futures numbers, plus what we typically see in what we call basis, which is the difference in price at the Henry Hub wellhead and what we experience for transportation net delivered at the burner tip at the plants. So the 644 is intended to bend that curve and get it going in the right direction. What I see as a potential setback is when the January bills come in, which were not known when we came up with the 644. What we did look at it and say is growth helps. So if you have more customers paying into the system, it helps offset, particularly if you have more than you assumed when you set the rate. So for example, let's assume we were going to cover this increase between 6 of us. It'd be a lot more per person if we were sharing it between 12 of us, right? So that helps. So in this formula, we've assumed about 2% growth in numbers of customers. When we're year to date, we're seeing 4.7%. So we take these data sources and intermingle them to come up with a suggestion. Natural gas prices coming down is certainly possible. Something that we could consider, and this is not unusual, is hedging. Hedging is a very complicated thing to do. You're buying natural gas futures at price A and counting on that future price to be higher than price A, so you locked it in low. Of course, price could go the other way. FMPA, the Florida Municipal Power Agency, has a hedging program in place for the customers that they serve directly, namely members of the Oil Requirements Project, what we call the ARP. We are not receiving power from the ARP. We're a contract customer, so we're exposed to the prices. It is possible you could consider a hedging program in the future, which would give us more stability. Although I point out that we are not as gas intensive as others, and the fact that we have a big piece of nuclear and solar essentially is a physical hedge. A much smaller piece of our portfolio is exposed to current market prices. But blending in a hedging program over time to take a look at the remaining 50%, let's say you could say, hey, we want to hedge 10% of that 50% or 50% of the 50%. Those are things we could consider. That will take a significant education program for you all before you make such a policy decision. And we'd have to find the right partner to do that with. That also comes with cost, basically, when you're buying the hedge, you're fronting the money for those contracts, and then swapping them later on to get the cash to pay the bill. So you might want to do a little bit of reading on hedging. It'll put you to sleep. Not everybody's comfortable, but the investor-owned utilities are currently not hedging by order of the Public Service Commission. This was a rate settlement they did a number of years ago. So I don't believe they're hedging for their utility customers. They may on their own book for their shareholders, but not for the utility.
And you brought up the new Naviline implementation, and I think that's going to bring a lot of great things to many departments, not just the electric utility. In going through your metrics and looking at things, customer service can become a large cost, and it seems like our customer service especially has a tremendous amount of call volume compared to the actual number of customers we have. Do you think implementing the Naviline is going to help reduce that, where we can regain some of that? Because we do invest an awful lot in customer service, and you guys are doing a great job. I think your call time metrics are under 10 minutes for answering, which is great.
Outage calls and other are typically under 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah, they're tremendous.
If you had to call FPL, it's nowhere near that, right? So do you think, between looking at those call times and the technologies that we're implementing, we could find a happy medium during budget and figure out some sort of savings in that area?
I think the single biggest thing we can do to limit the number of calls, and just have to think, it's going to sound a little crazy, is call the customers before they call us. You say, well, let's fix the problem before it exists. So, for example, outbound outage notifications. The technology exists. We don't have it, but the technology exists that as soon as we detect an outage on a meter, to contact that customer either by text or email or phone call to say, we know you have an outage, please don't call us. Every one of those calls is about $6. You've heard those presentations before. They're expensive. I'm not going to, give you a pop quiz on this, but I can tell you that we're talking about probably 4,000 phone calls a month. Think about that. 4,000 phone calls a month that are costing us over $6 to $7 a phone call. With the Lonely Hearts Club, and everybody calls, they want to talk to somebody, and they get upset. They'll complain to you because we didn't answer the call in 3.2 seconds, or whatever, or 3.2 minutes, or they didn't get an answer back, or they went to voicemail. So the use of the IVR, which is the keystroke menu, helps, because the cost really ratchets up when you get to a live voice on the other side, right? Which granted, people want to talk to a live voice, they don't want to deal with it. But I think that's a generational thing that changes over time. But we really have to have a technology tied to the AMI system that when we know you have an outage, we let you know. And in some cases, we could let you know before you even get to reach the phone to call us and tell us you have an outage. So we avoid that phone call. That is an evolutionary step in the technology that we have to bring. That's not 6 months away, though. That's well over a year away, being able to do that. But that will help them tremendously. And
such technology, is that in our roadmap that we're looking at?
It certainly is a roadmap of the electric utility. We tried to get it done a few years ago. We were rejected on the idea, but it's something that we haven't given up. It's on our list, holiday list to Santa every year that we want to get that feature. It's important to reduce cost.
Thank you.
Ms. May.
Thank you. Yeah, that outbound call would help. I mean, you can easily go to the map and see your house is in the little yellow area, so that helps too.
Right.
But I mean, we have that through the school system, and it's anything that happens, you're notified in 6 different ways as soon as it happens.
Right.
So let's go back to what you want us to do today. So why don't you explain exactly what you need from us right now?
So what we need from you tonight is to approve an increase of nominally 644 to the typical 1,000 kilowatt hour customer. That number will be slightly different if you're smaller or bigger, but it's an increase to the PCA. So folks' bills would go up on 1,000 kilowatt hour customer about $6.44 per month.
Okay. And my other question regarding that is, if we take the money out of the storm fund and put it back in, would that affect the $6.44 price? Or is that just strengthening the PCA fund?
I could give you a better answer once we see the January bills. So it's possible that the January bills may be $500,000 higher than we expected.
So it could wipe out that whole transfer anyway.
Correct.
So you think
we just don't have that number.
So when we do the 640, if we do the 644 today, and you bring forward with all the one-on-ones and everything, let's just say we assume we transfer the 500,000 out of the storm fund.
Mhm.
And we either are paying January or we're strengthening the PCA fund.
Right. So we'll know. So the energy, the increased energy use is going to show up in people's probably their February meter reads, and the cash will come in sometime in March. We'll see the accounting, but for the April meeting.
So you're saying turn off the pool heater?
Certainly Monday
Turn
morning. And if you have a home generator that's on oil, if it's on gas, it's natural gas, it's not going to help us. But if it happens to be on oil those mornings, that would be helpful too. But yes, please back off on the pool heaters. But what we want people to live their lives, and hopefully this is just a transient, and we don't like reaching into people's lives and asking to adjust the way they live so that we can.
Right, and I don't want to have to do a PCA increase more than once a year. So are you sure that this is the appropriate number?
Based on the data that we had when we set it. So we look at our forward indicator is what were the gas futures trading at.
Right.
I had them up earlier. There's a lot of the coming months are going to be in the high threes and mid $4 range per million BTU. For this weekend, it's 50.
Right. So it's kind of going to be a little bit harder to tell, but we're looking at 9 more months out of so we still have 3 quarters to go.
Yeah.
So the 644, you think I just don't want to have to do this again until we have budget.
Yeah. It's intended to be get us very, very close, absent what happens in January.
So would it behoove us to do $6.50 even just to cover it?
You could certainly do that. It's just a matter of us loading the number into the billing system to do that.
I mean, have you put 644 into any system yet?
No, we don't load those numbers until we have a commission.
Until we approve it. So
usually it could when the team first started adjusting rates like this 4 or 5 years ago, we allowed ourselves like 5 or 6 weeks to do it. Now they're doing this in a matter of a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
So if you authorize that as of the first of the month, some people would begin to see it during the month. Others might not see it till the next billing cycle.
Okay.
But if you want to go to $7, that's a nice hedge. So
I said $6.50.
Yeah.
Slow down.
If you want to round the number, knowing what's coming,
nuts.
what's likely coming in January, but anything that we do is going to be helpful. The bill will eventually have to be paid. So the question is, well, how do we pay these bills if we don't have customer money to do it with? Well, we lean on our credit lines, really, right? Our bank balances throughout the city to keep these bills. The utility fund balance is paying the bills until the customers pay us.
But we're not paying interest on borrowing from ourselves, are we?
No.
Okay.
No, but we
So
do
that's
earn
okay.
interest on the fund balances.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So we want to have that. Okay. So right now we made a motion to pass the 644 because that's what was presented to us. Before I make any adjustment, because I think I was the motion maker. Before I do anything to change that, I want to kind of ask my colleagues if I say that we could increase it to $6.50, would I get support or should I just go with the 644?
6 cents more.
6 cents more. Just make it even.
I love an even number. You know that.
Melita?
Do I hear
651?
Yes, I would support you.
Okay. Would you support that?
Yeah, but I'd like to understand, is that going to even make a dent? Is that going to help us hedge against what we have coming in January? Because I do recognize your point of not wanting to have to go back to the well.
Right.
And,
well, I was assuming that
probably
the
have a very
500,000 was going to kind of cushion that.
Yeah, but but if we overhedge, we can adjust down later, or let it build up the balance because my concern is that the balance has since 2024 we've just eaten it all away and we've been very judicious in the raising of those rates. So I guess my question to Ed is 650 versus 644, is that really going to help us with January?
It's just a round number.
Right.
Okay. So what if we did 7?
What is
I don't want to go any higher than that, but if we would do 7, would that work?
I think 7 will help. I do worry about customers, and some might say, "Well, that extra dollar is on top of the 650 or extra 60 cents, whatever it is."
So,
but
so we can go do 699.
Yeah. So I think that the good news is that these are not dollars that the city scoops for other purposes. they are restricted for the purpose of the resolution, which is paying these wholesale power bills.
Right. I mean, we obviously have to pay our bills and,
Right.
and in order to do that, we need to, as you said, share the cost amongst all of our customers. And as Anthony said, you know, we've been watching the PCA fund decrease. Since before I got elected. I remember where it kind of transferred. So I'm going to amend the initial motion from the $6.44 to $7.
Will the seconder go for that?
Yes.
Okay, any more comments? All right, all in favor of the amended $7 rate increase? Say by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Malega?
I just hate doing this.
None of us love it,
I,
but we have to pay the bill.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just have, it just makes me, I wish that we would have been able to create more in the PCA fund. What is the average bill? Kilowatt hour on an average customer, do you know?
My recollection is it's right around 1,000, which is an awful lot of our residential customers are at 1,000.
Okay,
Yeah. All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
To give you some level of comfort, I know in the past, back in early 2024, we were as much as $3.5 million on the positive side. So that $3.5 million was returned to the customers over the last few years to help limit the level of increases. And
Yeah, nobody's going to see it like that, Ed.
Right, exactly.
Nice.
At one time, I want to say it.
That's why I don't want to have to do it again.
Right.
Okay, let's look at the Cool Ocean stuff.
Yes. So
we're going to hear about the Cool Ocean stuff. Okay.
So we do have guest speakers on the line tonight from a company that is working with the
This is so cool.
Southern National Marine Energy Research Center, SEMREC. So what is SEMREC? This is a DOE research center that is at Florida Atlantic University. I strongly encourage you someday to get a tour of Harbor Branch, where they do a lot of their work up in Fort Pierce. It's a great tour to take.
I'm in.
Just to be amazed by the technology that's there. Equinox Turbines is one of the entities that is developing currents for ocean current energy. For those of you that may not recall this, or the public that may not have heard about this, hard to find somebody who has it. We've talked about it for many years. Is the concept of using underwater turbines, not above water, but down in the water, anchored to the bottom, and spinning with the ocean current, which is quite prevalent. We know it as the Gulf Stream, which is a few miles offshore. So Equinox is one of the entities that we have expressed a letter of interest, or executed a letter of interest. So we have a non-binding, not financial relationship with them, but we're certainly interested in having them succeed. We've executed the letters like that with a number of other developers over the years. Equinox is the latest, and I think they have a very interesting product. And so they're on the phone tonight. They're calling in from Europe, so it's 6 hours late over there compared to us, and they're happy to speak with us. So I'll turn it over to Equinox.
Thank you very much.
And the clerk, is Equinox live on the?
They're coming up now.
Yes, we are. Good evening. Well, thank you, Ed, for the kind introduction, and thank you very much for sharing the letter of interest with us. And Madam Mayor and Commissioner, we're very happy to share the story of Equinox Ocean Turbines with you tonight. I don't know how to move forward to the slides. Can I move the slides myself, or is the clerk able to move the slides?
If you just say next, we'll forward them for you.
Okay, yes, please. Let's do it that way. Okay, so let me tell you the story of Equinox Ocean. Well, I try first to share my screen, if you don't mind, that I can control the slides myself. Did you get my?
Can you share?
Can I share the screen?
What's his name?
Bart.
Bart. Yes.
Yeah, so give us just a second so that our IT person can put it on YouTube, and then you'll be able to forward the slides.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, let us introduce ourselves first. My name is Bart Veldhuizen, and I am the Chief Commercial Officer of Equinox Ocean Turbines. And in that role, I am responsible for developing partnerships across the globe for the development of our Equinox Ocean turbines. My colleague Andries van Une is our Chief Financial Officer and our Chief Operational Officer. I myself am located in the Netherlands, and Andries is located in Sweden. So we are currently calling from 2 different countries in Europe. I can share my screen now. Yeah. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Okay, good. Thank you. Excellent. Let me tell you the story about Equinox. First of all, I think, and at Liberty showed some of the energy challenges that Lake Worth Beach is facing. More people using more energy. There's security of supply issues, and there is a growing need for any sources, especially clean sources. But one of the problems with clean sources like wind and solar is they are unpredictable and they are not constant. There's only solar energy when the sun is shining, and there's only wind energy when the wind's blowing. So there is a growing need for affordable, clean baseload energy. And that baseload energy is available abundantly on the world because of ocean currents. Ocean currents are massive amounts of water circling the globe. They're always there. They're low velocity. There is 700 gigawatts of global potential, and it provides baseload. And at certain locations on the Earth, those ocean currents come very close to the shore. And we are focusing today on the Gulf Stream near Florida, and you're in a very unique situation that there's a beautiful, stable resource close to the shore, close to Lake Worth Beach. That the potential of that ocean current is massive. It could potentially power up to 50% of Floridian households, and Equinox Ocean Turbines is aiming to build a 50 megawatt farm in 2032. The way we try to do this will be the installation of farms of turbines. There are multiple turbines combined in a farm. For example, 25 turbines will generate 50 megawatts of power. Those farms will be virtually invisible, since they are, as adaptive planes, underneath the water surface. By combining multiple turbines, you will make use of the infrastructure as optimal as possible. And one of the things we're looking at, we're trying to use as little innovation as possible, using known technologies from other offshore entities like offshore wind and other offshore marine energy. And we foresee a seamless upscaling possible. We're very aware of that the moment you're going to install something in the ocean, you're going to influence the marine environment. It's our commitment to deliver a net positive life cycle impact by taking learnings from the past, using a low impact design and strategic placement of the turbines. We already hired our first marine biologist here on the slide, and we are working side by side with experts in the field, like Florida Atlantic University and like Gabriel Senas, who is also in the audience tonight. The enabler of our business is the Equinox Ocean turbine. It's a 50-meter device where the energy is generated not at the center, but at the tips of those rotors. That enables free floating device and then a free floating platform where we connect the device with a simple anchor cable to the seabed. Each of those turbines offering 2 megawatts of power. And we are on the longer run, we can we think we can reach around $60 or $50 per megawatt hour by the deep sea arrays with a 20-year life cycle and zero design impact based on the proven technology. Our business model is based on centralized and decentralized production, and that will lead to quite a considerable amount of local content. The devices will be built on a shipyard, built as a ship on a shipyard. So we are producing key components in a central location, probably in the Netherlands, and then transfer those to a shipyard close to the resource, or a ship that could be a shipyard in Lakewood Beach, where the final assembly of the products takes place. As I mentioned, we're using as little as possible innovation by combining known technologies, and we call that standing on the shoulders of giants. We want to use proven technologies, proven by others. The only new thing will be the combination of the technology within one product. Equinox Ocean Turbine wants to act as a equipment supplier with central and central production and decentral assembly, and act as a service provider. Project development will ideally be done by independent project developers, but for the first initial project, we will have to initiate it ourselves in close cooperation with partners in the US, like Lakewood Beach, like Florida Atlantic University, and the South National Marine Renewable Energy Center, of which Gabriel Salas is the director. That, in combination with existing supply chains, existing shipbuilding and installation equipment, probably already available in the United States. Our partner model focusing on local assembly, local operations base for service, project development locally, and local supply chains, enabling to build business together. Our roadmap towards 2032 is a threefold roadmap. The first stage is to tune the market. We are currently building a 5-meter scale model that will be tested in the water in June of this year. And we're funded by a conglomerate of innovators, which is InnoEnergy, is one of the biggest investors in green energy in Europe. In the next stage, we are going to build a product demo, which is half scale, 25 meter, 800 kilowatts. And the third stage is building and designing, building, and testing the first commercial product. And after that, we will start the commercial rollout. Today we're here and we're focusing on the next phase, and that's where we are looking for support. Our business development moonshot in this picture. In June, the Texel, that's an island in the Netherlands, hit the water, and we are supported by the LOI from Lakewood Beach, and we hope to transfer that Texel proto, that 5-meter proto, to Florida Current and have it tested at the South National Renewable Energy site. In cooperation with Brave Theory, Florida Atlantic University, ESA, and all other ecosystem players that are around in Florida. In stage 2, we are aiming to get our product demo, the half-scale device, in a standalone version into the Florida currents in this fourth quarter of 2028. And that could form the growing kernel for first 5 megawatts array, hopefully connected to the SNMREG cable that hopefully is available at that time. And once the 5 megawatt array is there, we could scale up to 50 or even to 250 megawatts clean baseload energy provided to the grids of the Lake Beach electric utility. So the key lights, and that's my last slide of my presentation. The key highlights, it's we're delivering perpetual power from ocean currents and tapping into the 700 gigawatts of global potential. We will be cost competitive on the long run, and we will deliver baseload energy with no visual impact. Our ask, and that is where we could find support, is threefold. On the short term, we could support is for the Florida current field demo at SNMREG will be greatly appreciated. And if you can find ways to support us to test the 5 meter and the 25 meter model in the next few years. On the midterm, a conditional PPA grid connected to the Florida grid, to the Lakewood Beach grid, would help us if we could discuss this type of agreement. And for the longer term, it is even bigger. So we would very much like to start the dialogue and to start the cooperation with Lakewood Beach Electric Utility to make this dream come to reality. Thank you for your attention, and we're open to questions from your side.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there are quite a few questions. Mr. Liberty, would you like to start?
Yes, I don't have questions, but I want to put a few comments out there which may hold up on some questions. Number one, this is not the type of thing where we envision or that they envision that we're going to make a contribution.
Thank you.
So this is understood. Our contribution to the extent that we would make one is to buy power from this resource other than under our traditional wholesale contract. So for a number of years in the prior contracts that I was involved in negotiating with OUC and this one with FMPA, we've allowed for a carve out. So while those, for example, at the moment, FMPA is our new bidder, our new winner, and they'll be our wholesale supplier for the next 7 years. That contract envisions that if something like this becomes reality, we could buy some of the power from this project. We talk about base load. We talked about earlier, our base load today is running about, let's say, 40 megawatts. At least 20 megawatts, which is filled by, or 22 megawatts is filled by nuclear, and the rest is a portion of our wholesale power purchase contract. So we could layer in some amount of this ocean current energy. We'd have to, of course, negotiate the price that we would pay because it's experimental and it's not firm. But our contracts for wholesale power do allow for something like this to be fit into our portfolio. Let's assume that this does become commercial. I certainly believe that it can at some point in the future. Our participation could grow by increasing amounts. We talked about the lead time to make decisions for energy resources starting 7 years from now when the current contract expires. However, we can also serve as the conduit by which power that they make that we may not buy could be sold to others. So there's obviously a business opportunity for us in conveying that power, and there's a business opportunity for us in terms of diversifying our portfolio. We currently have a resolution which was put in place a few years ago to be at a certain percentage of carbon-free energy by a certain date. This 2032 certainly matches up with that goal. We have to be at a certain percentage by 2035 and believe in another number by 2045, which would be 100% net zero. So we're operating under the presumption that resolution, which is currently in place, is something we should be acting in accordance with, and we're following. So this is one way to do that. This is very interesting. It's technically feasible. Whether it's ultimately financially feasible for the investors, that's for Bart and his investors to decide. but this certainly fits with us. So infrastructure wise, what's the impact on us? So we are in the process of improving our infrastructure to the beach, not because of this, but because we have to. So whether this happens or not, we still have to replace the lines out to the beach. So the concept would be that there will be offshore power production that would come in, not visible on surface, surface and connect to our system at the beach in vaults, likely under the parking lot, and then enter our electric distribution system at 26,000 volts. And then if necessary, power beyond what we could use here, we would then become a conduit by which they could sell that power to other wholesale entities in the state. That's the general concept.
Great. Interesting. Very interesting. What my question is, what relation, I know that FAU's been working on a project like this. Are they cooperating? Are they going to be at conflict?
Well, they're cooperating. I would suggest, though, that Gabe Alcenas, who is the director of the center at FAU that they're working with, who's in the audience, sitting right behind me, if he would be willing to come up to the microphone and talk about FAU's role.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, is that close enough? Hello again to some of you. Hello to the new faces. As you know, and as was mentioned earlier, our relationship with the city of Lake Worth Beach is over a decade old now. And we're very proud of it, and we've started to develop it. We currently have a U.S. Department of Energy project feasibility study that the city of Lake Worth Beach is a subcontractor on to assist us with better understanding your electricity utility needs and how they might fit in with these technologies. So, at our center, we work with individual companies like Equinox in order to be able to help move their technologies forward, help them better understand the commercial space, and give them opportunities to have access to the U.S. markets here. We strongly believe that the municipal utilities like the city of Lake Worth Beach have unique opportunities to be first movers in a lot of these areas, right? And that's at first, like Ed said, it may be uneconomical to be purchasing at large scale and actually include it into your existing portfolio. But as you help it mature and you do it in a risk reduced way, you can be a front runner in helping to establish these technologies. This is the U.S. Department of Energy Center. It's a decade and a half old now. We continue to build out infrastructure and have a bigger and bigger impact. The good news at the federal level is that although there's been a lot of rearrangement in the renewable energy space, the marine energy projects actually have remained intact. And so we're very enthusiastic that it's sort of a cross-aisle development that we can continue to pursue. So I'll take any questions if there's additional ones.
Okay, so are you actually designing these things, or you're not? You're just doing studies on the feasibility of ocean electric.
Correct. And leveraging the resources at the university to assist companies where they have gaps in that.
So you're not competing with companies.
No, there's no homegrown technologies.
I should point out that FAU, through this Marine Research Energy Center, DOE, has done a tremendous amount of research on the Gulf Stream. So if you can imagine it, it's a wall of water flowing. So it has depth and breadth and length, and it varies up and down and in and out from the shoreline. So they've done a tremendous job of mapping and identifying maximum current levels at different depths to allow these developers to optimize where in this flow of water they would want to install their equipment. They can then help with the value engineering in terms of how far offshore would it be relative to the cost to get there, the depth, the construction, all of that kind of stuff.
So obviously it would not interfere with shipping or boats or.
Those are all considerations we're taking a look at. And I was going to also add, that's a good segue. The university has a lot of marine biology expertise and resources, and we've been using that to leverage it to be a third party to say, okay, what could be the impacts from these technologies, and understand it from a big picture and then understand it from a smaller picture. So
we don't want to see piles of dead fish on the ocean floor.
No, there was actually a recent article that was published, research on the West Coast, where they installed cameras on some underwater structures, and it was the number of incidents that they had were remarkably low. I'm not an expert in that area, but there's already research underway to understand the speed at which these devices turn. Will marine life be able to avoid it and move away from it? So.
And we very much strongly encourage the approach that Equinox is taking, that they start with a smaller scale prototype that reduces that risk, reduces the mortality possibilities and things like that with the marine animals. So lets us really understand and measure what that could be. So
great. I don't know who was first. I think Mr. Stig. Oh, Ms. Malaga.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
You too.
We have been talking about this for a long time,
Mhm.
and I love technology. Technology is great until it's not. How deep are you thinking that these turbines are going to go into the ocean? Because I heard ocean floor, and I'm like, that's deep.
Quite deep.
Are we thinking like feet,
Yeah,
150
maybe
feet?
I can, Bart Veldhuizen, maybe I can answer that question. One of the advantages of the setup is that we design our devices that they will operate around 80 meters below the sea level, and that the depth to the seabed is of lesser importance. We can handle water depth of about 1,000 meters, but the device will be operated around 80 meters below sea level.
Okay, what is that in feet?
I'm doing that right
In
now.
feet is
Times
three
three.
times, yeah, times three.
Times 3.
Thank you.
Sorry
two-
for this.
Um,
262.
who is the cable attachment being developed by the same company, or is that a third party?
So for the initial connection to the city, what we envision is the university taking the lead to build out a test facility that's exclusively reserved for testing this equipment and not for commercial production initially. Ultimately, the companies will have to pursue the ability to put the underwater infrastructure in to connect to electric utility to solar power.
My last question is, what, I hear you say marine life is important, but what is the sound effect? I'm not so, of course, I'm worried about the thing spinning, but to me, mammals and underneath the water, they all communicate through sound.
Right.
And that is one thing that I would hope that we would take the utmost consideration of, because I'm all for technology, but not at the cost of sea turtles, which I'm greatly a large fan of. So where are you guys stand on that?
Yeah, or marine mammals who actually have much more sensitivity to acoustics in the water. As a matter of fact, there are some studies that we've already begun to do to better understand some of the species of interest here in the waters offshore Florida, like right whales, for example. We've done some autonomous vehicle surveys of the sounds in the water and better understanding the environment that they're in, and then characterizing the sound that the turbines might make in order to make a comparison of the risk to the animals. It's also important, I think, to understand that our current federal and state regulations require treatment of acoustics in the water. It's a very significant part of the existing rulemaking, so that any permits in order to be able to do these kinds of things in the water require studies in order to be able to show that it's minimal or mitigatable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one more question. I've been seeing turbines, mostly in Europe, I think, that are not big wheels, that they're columns that spin, which seems like to lessen the, collisions, whatever. Is that something that's been looked at?
Yeah, we see there's no convergence in these technologies yet. So for the example, the technology that Equinox is developing is actually interesting because as he described, it's the center blade that's rotating is only the method by which you accelerate the small turbines at the tips. So it's really only the small turbines that are generating the power and kind of spinning in the flow. It's not what you kind of see in Europe, which is these larger sort of wind turbine looking systems. The other configurations have advantages and disadvantages, and it really depends on which ones will be able to scale them large enough to take advantage of the big currents. A lot of times, like we saw in wind, the micro scale wind turbines tend to be most effective with that vertical arrangement.
Right.
And the really large individual blade turbines tend to be able to harvest more of the power when it's a bigger resource. So it really depends, I think, how the technologies are going to be proposed to be installed and in which groupings.
Thank you, Miss May.
I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, right. We
Um,
love hearing this.
I know, right? That's so cool. So the thing that's holding on to it, does that like kind of rotate with it so that it stays in the current?
I'll let Bart and his team answer that for their specific technology. I have some comments on how that generally works.
Yes, the anchoring cable is we call it an umbilical because it is keeping the device in its place, and electricity is guided towards the seabed. as well as data cables are there. And yes, there is a certain variation in the flow direction, not that much, and the turbine is able to follow it. You could easily the most easy imagine you can have if you have an air balloon filled with gas on a string. It's going right up, and the moment it starts, the winds are blowing, it's going aside, and that is exactly what is happening to this type of turbines underwater. The moment you hook them up on the cable and you let them loose, they slowly move to their operational depth, and the cable is keeping them in place, connected to the seabed. And those cables are pretty impressive. And they could go up to length of a few kilometers, and that is 1 kilometer. 1 mile is about 1.6 kilometers. So there's pretty gigantic structures, but relatively simple in their concept. Does it answer your question?
That's
Does it answer
cool.
your question?
Yeah, no, it's just really cool. I don't have any questions.
So if I could just add one kind of extra scientific comment to that. So we have been, that's one of the things that we do, is that we measure this ocean current characteristics for the production of energy with these systems. So we have moored systems that use active acoustics to see the flow above it in a two-dimensional kind of space. We also have coastal radar stations that are installed currently covering most of Broward County. So one in Haulover Beach, one in Hillsborough Beach. And we're actually been talking about how we can expand that network to better measure across Palm Beach County. And so we've been looking at the pier and see if that's a useful location for it. The manufacturers told us so far, yes. So now it's incumbent on us to find the funding to support another antenna. So yes.
Have a big sale.
Thank you.
Mr. Segridge.
Thank you. So one of the wonderful things about the Gulf Stream, it's pretty predictable for the most part, and would supply a lot of power, but it also brings us lovely things like hurricanes. And directly off our coast, we've seen 400-foot shipwrecks get moved almost a mile when a storm comes in. How are you guys gonna look at? I mean, because this is a very large object in the middle of that thing, 50-meter wide object attached to a tether. Cables do very well under constant load, but when it's snap load, the whole thing changes. How are you guys considering that and going to test it?
I'll let Equinox describe their strategy for that first.
We're next to building our model, we have been working on numerical modeling of the devices. So these type, you don't try and build them, you model them, and we're working together with the National Research Lab of the Rockies, former NREL in the US, on a TEMA grant already. And based on that models, we have seen that the devices are relatively untouched by hurricane. We've made simulation with freak waves of I think, Andries, they were 20 meters high. And the machine, the device noticed those freak waves, but was not influenced dramatically. So our numerical analysis today show us that they can survive those type of hurricane waves. But of course, that is, and we need to find data, historical data on the types of waves to see whether these load cases are representative for what could happen. But indeed, dropping on a cable is not a very favorable situation.
That's one of the areas that we find a lot of interest in. We've had a couple of hurricanes actually pass by our installed systems already, which presents some really interesting data. And that's what we'd like to pass on to companies like Equinox to say, here's what you should expect, and come up with a strategy to mitigate.
What do you currently What do you currently have? You said your models. I mean, are there models out there under the ocean that you're looking at?
To my knowledge, there's no installed systems at the moment. What we have is moored measurement buoys. And so they measure, no, they're actual instruments that measure constantly over a long period of time. We recover them, we put them back out again and look at the data from that. So
Thank you very much. Listen, the more of this kind of stuff, the better.
I think that if you want to have your mind expanded with a really cool tour, we could arrange to have
We would like that.
tours at the Harbor Branch facility
Yeah.
in Fort Pierce, which is just an outstanding facility. I also want to clarify too, I just make sure we're not talking about building a shipyard here in Lake Worth Beach. I think when you look at the Lake Worth Lagoon, which we all know is is outlet to the Palm Beach through the Palm Beach Inlet. So that's a potential location for loading of equipment and getting out. It is possible, and we've talked about this very superficially with all involved, that we do have a park of commerce, and whatever work can be done here, we would obviously like to see that done. Office space, things like that. I can't think of anything cooler than to be able to say, hey, we have a great waterfront city with a long tradition of innovation. Yeah, great hotels here. The Gulfstream Hotel, for example, could be powered by the Gulfstream one day. But that would be cool stuff for us to look at.
Are you hearing that over there in the Netherlands?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, yes, it's coming through.
And even in Sweden?
Let's let these guys get some
Yes,
sleep.
we would like to see people from all over the world come here to see what we.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Thank
one
you.
of the one of the advantages of our business is we're looking on pretty cool locations in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Florida is, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you,
is
Bart.
so interesting. We do have. We appreciate your time and your effort in this. We do have one public comment. Mr. Townsend.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. It's good to see everybody tonight. I'm absolutely against this. Is this on? I'm absolutely against this. When the first people came with the wobbler pieces, you got to realize that those wobblers are going to static the entire area. So you're not only going to diminish the energy, but you're going to send energy out in all directions, staticking the whole area. So let's go to the newer people here. So the gentleman up there. So essentially the Gulfstream is too small to diminish. I'd like to know what your calculations are as far as the energy once you put the distance, the depth, and the water speed together. And I'd like to know what is the diminishment per unit and then per entirety. And I'd like to know how big is this farm you're talking about? If there's going to be a farm under there with 50-meter units, shouldn't there be cowlings on these things or something? I think that we're going to lose a lot of passing energy. And I think that if everybody did this, it would just ruin the entire conveyor belt going around the whole darn planet. So, was there anything else? Because I'm just a mess now. Yeah, it's too small. It doesn't work. I'd like to hear their calculations. What is the available energy after looking at the distance, the depth, and the water speed? Do you have that, sir?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We don't respond. To the
Okay. Right. You don't respond and never do. Okay. So yeah, I'd like to somehow get a hold of somebody to find out the answers to those questions. And I thank everybody for being really nice with me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what are you looking for from us? Any action? Just update. Just listen and.
This is just an update, no action required on your part.
Well, give our regards to Europe. And,
Thank you.
Now go to sleep.
Thank you
very
for
much
your
for the
time.
time.
It's it has
Very
been
exciting.
quite a long day, and I hope to
night.
meet you all in the future and to be able to work together. And we'll definitely thank Ed for the LOI, and hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen. That's German, but that's you understand.
this is Deutsch. Yes, that's good. Okay, see you soon.
Goodbye. Interesting. That's great. Very exciting. Okay, D, unfinished business D. Review of 2025 electric utility reliability metrics. Here we go.
Now, for the great news, I'm going to have Assistant Director Jason Bailey make this presentation. He's our independent arbiter within the utility. He measures these things and tracks them very closely.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. City Manager. Jason Bailey, Assistant Director of System Operations. Before you tonight to give an update and review of our 2025 reliability numbers. Next slide, please. This slide has the definitions, our metrics definitions. I'm not going to read through the definitions. So these are just how we measure customer outage experience. Katie is the average time to restore service. Once an outage occurs, SAIFI, how long the average customer loses power. SAIDI, how long the average customer is without power. MAFI, how long they experience a momentary blink. And LBAR is the average length of a single outage. And we'll talk more about these in future slides. So this one here on this slide is SAIFI. This is the outage frequency. So how often do customers lose power? This metric is measures the average number of sustained outages per customer and is calculated by taking the total customers experience an outage, dividing it by the total customers. So as you can see for 2025, that number came out to 0.794. And so the average customer experience was less than one outage for 2025.
I just have to put that in context. If you look back to where we started this journey together, first started measuring the data and then started talking about system hardening reliability improvement, 2018.
Yeah.
While we've had some years that spiked up where we got to today, some of those spikes are obviously large outages, definitely, but many of those were during periods of time when we had the system out of its best configuration because we were rebuilding components. So we were not in our most reliable state because we had to build stuff.
We also had iguanas.
We did, lots of them. And hopefully by Monday afternoon, we'll have fewer.
Yeah, really.
I can't wait.
A giant one drop on my sidewalk. Good ear.
You need to get a rock.
So this year we had year-over-year improvement. So for 2024, our number was 8.45. So we've actually had a 6% reduction this last year, and it was our best performance in the last 8 years. This slide here is SAIDI, which is outage duration. How long were the customers out of power? So this measures the average minutes of outage per customer per year. So it's an average across all customers. So we take the total customer minutes of interruption divided by the total customers served. And for 2025, it comes out to 39.64 minutes. So the average customer in Lake Worth was out of power for 40 minutes, under 40 minutes last year. 2024, so it's same thing. We had year-over-year improvement. For 2024, it was 48.9 minutes. So that also resulted in almost a 19% reduction in duration. SAIFI and SAIDI, I think, are the two big ones, frequency and duration. No one metric tells the whole story, but those two are the most important when it comes to customer experience.
And I'll point out for the public that these are not internally concocted calculations that make us look good. These are industry standard calculations that are used across the country for benchmarking performance. So we compete with each other, not financially, but we compete with each other to have the best results possible for our customers. And also point out that the money that you all have approved over successive commissions and bond issues has gone into the infrastructure is making these results possible.
This is the strengthening of the system that you've been working so hard.
Yes, it is.
Okay, the next slide here is Katie. So this is the average restoration time. So how quickly was power restored after an outage? Katie measures the average restoration time for the customers who do lose power, and it's calculated by taking SAIDI divided by SAIFI. So for 2025, we had a Katie of 49.9. While we did have a reduction from, a 13.7% reduction over 2024, we do see those start to slightly trend up, but it's not bad news. No one metric tells the whole story. So Katie increased slightly the last 2 years, because in the past we were having large, massive outages affecting a lot of people that we were restoring quickly. So those were arbitrarily deflating the numbers. These numbers now are showing the more normal distribution outages, the individual laterals, individual transformers, the individual service drops to a house. Those outages take a little bit longer to clear, and that's why these numbers are, but these are still well within our next door neighbor. And still improving, yes.
Our next door.
So this slide is Mayfi. This is the momentaries. So how often do customers experience power blinks or outages lasting less than 60 seconds? So it's just calculated by taking the total number of customers experience a momentary divided by the total number of customers. So for last year, it was 2.259. So about two and a third outages, momentary blinks per customer last year. Also, again, year over year improvement with a 12% reduction over 2024. And it was our best value in the last 8 years. So
my question is, because I've gotten friends of mine who live in College Park, they say that happens, you
Mhm.
know, and they'll be working on their computer and they'll go bzz, and then it'll have to start over. Is there a way that they need to, anything that they need to do to protect their electronics?
any electronics, I would put on a small UPS. Any computers should be on a UPS just because of the state that we live
What is
in.
the UPS besides the brown truck?
Battery backup. I'm sorry, a small battery backup.
Uninterruptible power supply.
Yeah, uninterruptible power supply.
United Parcel Service.
But they're small, and I would put that just on the computer itself or the router, the home router, internet router. Correct. So it has batteries inside it, and if there is a flicker, that battery takes over and keeps the power, the output power, consistent.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So the drivers of improvement in this category, so the vegetation management has been really well. Installation of animal guards helped drive these numbers down. Voltage conversion and the hardening projects have definitely led to this. We've been installing a lot of new reclosers out in the field, so making the circuits smaller. And then with those reclosers, they've done single pole operation reclosure. So it's a breaker that's out in the field that just shortens the circuit. So that's what led to the reductions in this category.
So we can cut our segments into shorter segments. So circuits will be segmented. In some cases we can tie to an adjoining circuit. So if we lose a section, we can route around it. Instead of losing the whole string, we lose maybe 25 or 50% of it. So under the grant, we're installing 60 more.
60, yeah.
So that's tremendous. I think also has to be said that as we convert from the old 4 kV system, for example, College Park is on the old 4 kV system. As we convert over to the new 26 kV system, those customers will get much better power quality, not just fewer interruptions, but the quality of the power they get. Think of it as a filtration almost, right? That's an analogy. It's cleaner power, better waveform in the new system. College Park is not there yet, but we're working our way towards that.
When's our turn?
That's a different conversation. Next few years, the team is actually working on that currently as we look at our next financing, how we're going to do that.
All right, so this last category is LBAR, so it's the average length of outage. So how long does a single outage typically last? So this one does not look at any customers. It looks at total outage minutes divided by the number of outages. So for last year, it was 100.4 minutes, 100.399 minutes. So that means that the average outage lasted about 100 minutes. This again, we had year over year improvement with a 21.9% reduction. But this doesn't take any customer counts into effect.
Oh.
So this is that transformer in the backyard that has no access that takes 5 hours to clear, interrupts 3 customers, but it takes 5 hours. Or the underground service that affects 1 house, but it takes 8 hours to dig up and repair. Those are what this number is.
I see.
It's the total time divided by the total number of outages.
Okay.
So we were able to make improvements in this category. Due to proper outage identification, proper dispatch of the field crews, strong response from the field crews and trouble trucks, engineering support, substation support. And I do want to just say in this category, while it does take the entire team, all of us, I mean, even the commissioners approving the money to do the work, that this metric really does show the dedication of the line department. I can't talk about the line department enough. These numbers are greatly influenced by the linemen and the troublemen who respond to these outages,
Oh, they know what they're
day
doing.
and night, wet or dry, hot or
Right.
cold. So
Out
that's,
And they're
this is,
so nice. when
this-
they come
Every
through.
time.
Every single time.
yeah, this is their category. So this is just to give us an update on the improvements that we've made this last year. So this is the new canal transmission. This is actually our entire transmission system now. So this is our BES transmission station. This is to dictate that the canal station that was placed into service on July 23rd, 2025, we transformed from radial transmission to network transmission. So now we have the two stations, Hypoluxo and Canal. Hypoluxo has two incoming lines from FPL. Canal has two incoming lines from FPL. So with that, in being able to transfer power in any direction, we're able to now start doing maintenance on the equipment that we couldn't do before without doing island ops. We've already had that line out like 3 times since we've networked to do maintenance and repairs that we couldn't do before without doing an island op. And there was no exposure doing the work. This is projects underway that are going to continue to help improve reliability. So this is the new switching station at 6th Avenue South, actually 7th Avenue South. We're just calling it the 6th Ave South station because that's where it started. But we have a 7th Ave North, and we were concerned with getting them confused when you call them out. So this is our new station. We're any day now, we should be putting load on it. They're doing the final checkouts now. It's fully completed. So with this new station, the key things I do want to talk about is it's completely fed underground. So all incoming and outgoing lines are all underground. So the small picture you see on the right there, any of those magenta lines are all the new underground cables leaving that station. We haven't commissioned any of the cables yet because the station's not up. But once we commission the station, all that underground that's pink will be in service, and we're going to cut down and remove all the overhead wires, poles, and clean it up for a real nice profile.
That's cool. Does it have to like stay on those cement blocks?
Yes, that's the foundations. That is the foundation piers that the building sits on. There'll be additional fencing and stuff around the base of that.
And then
This was
is it like it won't blow away in a hurricane?
no, that's rated for 200 miles an hour. It's a 200-mile-an-hour building.
That's probably the safest building. And I pointed out.
It is.
These control houses that we built at the main yard, at Canal, and now at 6th Avenue South. There is room in there to lay out a row or two of cots. So that way, a very secure environment, air conditioned, battery backup, fiber optic communications with radio backup. We could house our crews there inside these buildings, right out of storm in a secure environment.
Wow.
So that's not exactly why we did it, but there's plenty of room in there to house them if we had
That's
to.
awesome.
Now, what the public will see is the building, the foundation closed in, and then there'll be a cement wall around the facility. They're not going to see and hear big transformers humming and big wires. It'll be just like a home with a wall around it and a gate to come in and out. So very unobtrusive. You won't see chain link fencing. You won't see barbed wire. Or
Maybe a mural on the wall eventually.
that's up to the community to determine if that's what they want. Hopefully, people don't take it upon their own to do that.
Yeah, really.
But good example is 7th Avenue North substation, which has a wall around it, and also, of course, Canal, which has multiple walls in different areas with landscaping. So we're the next generation of substation. This is it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lastly, though, I wanted to put a slide in about reliability challenges, but I missed it before the deadline, so I didn't get it in. But I no, we can't have the good without the bad. So I did want to talk about our 3 biggest outages last year. So just to give some context of how the outages are. So the 3 major outages we had last year. The first one was on March 22nd. We had a motor vehicle accident. So I believe it was West Palm Beach was chasing somebody, high speeds on Congress. They wiped out several poles, primary wire down, after hours on a weekend. So it did lead to a long repair time, but the customer minutes of interruption from that outage was 199,000 minutes just from that one outage. We had an event with heavy rain with water intrusion that did create an outage that led to 184,000 minutes of interruption. And then thirdly, we had another motor vehicle accident, similar scenario, 78,000 minutes of interruption. But just those 3 outages alone accounted for 41% of our SAIDI and 45% of our SAFE. So just those 3 outages can greatly impact our outages for the year.
Ms. Malega?
Thank you, Jason. When we have an accident like that, a vehicle accident, are we making sure that we're following through to get the insurance company for those individuals to pay for the damage so it's not on the backs of our residents?
Yes, ma'am. So we do the trouble truck that's on the scene there. We'll get with law enforcement, get the case numbers and the information, take pictures. That all gets forwarded to system operations. We make incident reports signed off by the director, and then that goes to human resources to risk management. And then they follow up with that to seek restitution.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, really, this is pretty exciting. Ms. May?
It's not probably for Jason. I just want to know what happened with the guys who went up north. A, were they freezing? B, did they help? And C, are they back? They're back.
They went and they came back. That city, it's actually cooperative. Lawrence, South Carolina serves the Columbia, Greenville area. But the storm did not impact the area as bad as the hosts expected. So they were being preemptive and bringing us up there. I don't think I'm pretty sure the crews did not do any work.
Okay.
But that doesn't sound right? Their work was to be there and be available. They were equivalent of capacity, and they were well received. They were well taken care of, but they were released through no fault of their own. There was no work for them to do on Monday. They were released that Monday and returned home safely.
Okay.
So we greatly
Excellent.
appreciate the fact that it spoke very well for our community to step up and send crews away. A number of years ago, we had so many outages here, we couldn't send people away. Now we could send out significant numbers.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And I'm glad they're home safe.
And by the way, they do appreciate that they get the opportunity to go.
I'm sure they
because
do.
for many years, there's a morale about that. There's a spirit theme that goes about that. They're very proud of the work they do. All linemen everywhere in the country, they fly the flag proudly and they roll to those events, and they work really well when they're there. So, and we're glad when they come here.
We're very glad when they come here. Thank you very much. Really good news. Good news. Okay, so we are up now to commission liaison reports and comments. I'm just going to start real quick tonight. Vice Mayor Malega, Commissioner May, and I were just spent a very long time. It seemed like an eternity in Tallahassee. We were there from Sunday night till last night. And most of what we do is meeting with legislators, and I'll leave it to the ladies to talk a little bit more specifically about what we were asking. We also, while we were up there, did have the opportunity to meet with David Kerner and had a good conversation with him, meaningful conversation. We'll come back a little bit more with more specifics about that, but it was very gracious that he let us come in and speak with him and his colonel and his assistant. Other than that, we've been gone for a few days, but that's all I have right now. District 1.
Thank you. So prior to going to Tallahassee, I had a week filled with neighborhood association meetings. I had Rolo, I had Royal Point Sienna, I had the CRA meeting, and that was combined with South Palm Park's ribbon cutting. Thank you, Anthony, for sharing that. And the golf course flag raising, celebrating 100 great, fantastic years at the golf course. And the trip to Tallahassee, and the only thing I want to say about Tallahassee is, as somebody who's self-employed, I lose a lot of money going to Tallahassee. But going up there, and number one, showing gratitude to the local electeds does carry weight. Because when we have an ask, like if Jamie needs to get help with FDOT to get some work done on the sewer system, those are the people that we have to call upon. So it's really important to me to keep those relationships fluid and not just say, we're here to ask for appropriations, we're here to get support, we're here to fight bad bills. We always end with, what can we do for you?
Yeah.
How can we help you? What bills do you have that are being introduced? And it's always really cool to see, even Representative Deborah Tendridge had the most thoughtful process. She had a push board with all her bills, what committees they were in, when they were being heard. And as they were being heard and approved, she put a check mark on them. So it was cool to see each one of theirs, the processes up there. Representative Javante Edmonds has some really good bills in as well. Senator Bernard was very kind and gracious. He was the first meeting we had. We met with representatives that were both Democrat and Republican because that's important. We are nonpartisan, so we have to meet with everybody. And we sat in on one committee meeting, and the pink flamingo is on its way to being the state bird. So that was actually voted on and spending money on. I actually thought it was already the state bird, but it's the northern
No, it's the Mocking.
Northern Mockingjay. Northern Mockingjay is our state bird. So now it's on its way to be the pink flamingo, hot off the press.
And the other one will be the state songbird.
Yeah. So it was a great trip. Like the mayor had said earlier, we were encouraged that our appropriations were supported by the right person this year. And again, our new lobbyist, Jarrett, is doing a great job. He spent time with us and handheld us for a minute and then sent us on our way and expects us to know our way through the Capitol and the Senate by now.
Which we're learning. We know. Thank you. District 3.
Well, I kind of gave a little bit report on our three legislative asks earlier, so I'm not going to repeat that. I did think it was pretty cool. We hadn't gotten before into one of the actual meetings and kind of watched the process, but it was really neat. My students are really excited about the flamingo because I told them about it today. And let's see, I've got NAPC not this weekend, but the following weekend. So I will get a report on that. I know the Great Taste of Lake Worth Beach is coming up February 20th. The Street Painting Festival is following 2 days, 21 and 22. All of us that is sitting at the dais right now attended the opening for the events for the 100th anniversary of the golf course. And the entire leisure services department has a lot of events planned. They gave us each a bottle of the commemorative wine, and the women's golf club is kind of heading that, as the city can't really give out alcohol. So they're doing that, and it's really kind of pretty. So there's going to be a lot of events. People should stay tuned. It's going to go towards the decades. So it'll go from the 20s to the 30s to the 40s to the 50s, where we end up in the 2026. And what else? I think that's it, unless I can think of something else later.
Shine and dine.
Oh yes, we went to the mayor and vice mayor and I put some of our discretionary funds into the Path to College fundraiser, which is Shine and Dine, and it was great. It was a wonderful dinner and dancing, and they also raised over $300,000 in auctions and bids and money, and they really did a great job and the wonderful part about that is that it's a lot of the kids that are serviced by them go to Lake Worth High, and the Catapult Center, which is going to be an after school tutoring and mentoring center, is literally across the street from here. So they raised a lot of money, and it's going to go right here to our local kids.
Thank you. District 4.
Thank you. Another event to remind people of: on February 13th, we have Sunset on the Ave. It's going to be at the Cultural Plaza, and it's kind of a smaller resurgence of the music we used to have on the Friday nights. And so just encouraging everyone to go and support that, because based on crowds and data that we gather there, that's going to affect budgeting and programming for the future. So if you enjoy music and entertainment on the Ave, definitely go see that.
And who's going to be playing there?
Well, I know our high school,
the Lake Worth High School band is
Yeah.
going to be there,
And
which
then-
is supporting our kids.
And then there is a block party on J Street, which starts just at the tail end of Sunset on the Ave. It starts at 6, but Sunset on the Ave ends at 6:30. And our high school band is going to be leading a small procession from one to the other. And that block party is Mardi Gras themed, and tickets will go on sale soon. It's going to be a ticketed event for that. But it's really nice to see, lots of events starting to come back into the downtown. And our leisure services department is doing just a phenomenal job. We had a music festival last weekend in Bryant Park that was very successful. The Jelly Music Festival was there. So these are the things that our leisure services department are bringing to our city.
And to bring back eating on the avenues, even if it's once a month, would be just a wonderful thing, because that was just a great event.
Absolutely. I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe it's 5 to 6:30. Yeah. So it's going to be a small program at the Cultural Plaza, free for everybody. And I hope to see everyone there. Then next week on Wednesday, February 4th, I'll be doing another town hall. It's open to all districts, everybody to come. It's going to be similar topics to what we discussed in this week's town hall. It's going to be at the casino complex, 6 to 9 p.m. plus, if people still have questions. We did one at the Irish Brigade, which I think we had about 65 people, maybe 70 come in and out. So it was great. Lots of good questions, lots of good viewpoints, lots of good discussion. So hoping to see people turn out for that. And we kind of covered all some of the other stuff. So
It's been a busy, we've been very busy. Thank you very much. Do we have anything from our city manager?
A very busy January, wrapping it up. I'm getting
Nonstop.
ready for another busy February. I'll have more stuff for, we have a meeting on Tuesday. It's like
We do. We have an agenda meeting tomorrow.
Agenda meeting tomorrow morning and then a meeting Tuesday. So I have a good amount of things for Tuesday. So.
Okay, thank you. Madam Attorney?
No, we put this evening.
Oh, what? Really?
That's the report. That's great.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
She already did.
I started a little bit. Yeah. I just want to address a couple of comments that were made, about the referendums coming up that, we very specifically eliminated hotels and lodging from the referendum on the beach. And, those empty storefronts, we need visitors with credit cards.
Or
Cash, checks, whatever, but we need people walking around downtown with vacation money in their pockets. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Segrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Good night.